Where are the low-value men?
The hijacker's passport was found blocks from the World Trade Center crash site. You can believe that. You can believe that. You can believe that.
Contracted COVID, but says with a mixture of medicines, including the controversial horse dewormer that has poisoned hundreds of people nationwide, he's now recovered.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
From the headlines to the whisper start. Low value mail, low value mail at 9 o'clock. Where truth and fiction take a walk.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Our stories are.
Oh boy! Welcome back, everybody, to an all-new episode of Low Value Mail. It's good to be back, as they say. Do they say that? I don't know. But it's episode number 139. Can you believe this is the 139th of these? And here's to 1,000 more, huh? What's that? It's like 20 years. No, we'll all be dead in 20 years. Oh, let me turn this down. I don't know if this is too loud. I have no way of monitoring my own audio. Isn't that weird? Joining me today in the second hour of the show, we have Johnny Cirucci. He's the host of the Resistance Rising podcast, and he will be joining us at 10 o'clock to talk about Jesuit conspiracies. Well, I've had some callers discuss the Jesuits before, and I believe a guest. But we never really got into it. But this guy does the full deep dive on the Jesuits. So we're going to be talking to him at 10 o'clock. And I know I said that Nick Bryant was going to be on this week. He had to reschedule. He's a very busy man. But he'll be back on next week at 9 p.m. And we're going to do it a little differently, actually, because he has a hard out at 10 p.m. So we're going to go 9 to 10 p.m. with him. And hopefully we'll have more on Epstein by then. Probably not. That was a whole lot of nothing. Wasn't it? Lots happened in the last 2. I've been away for 2 weeks. And a lot's happened. The Epstein, that whole debacle, where literally they were like, we're releasing the files. And you go, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. But it is good to be back. I had a lovely few shows in Vancouver and Portland. Shout out to all of you who came out and said, what's up? It was cool meeting you all. And then I was in Anguilla, which was all right. It was nice. Nothing to do there. I guess that's the point. I don't know. I like someone says set the chat reminder, set chat filter to all messages. Is that a reminder for me? By the way, shout out to Logan Sorter for the 3 super chats. Go follow Logan Sorter on Instagram as requested. It's at Logan Sorter. If we hit an extra 30 minutes, or if we hit the super chat goal, we'll do an extra 30 minutes of open lines. Got to be in by 11:30. Otherwise, we're shutting it down. And I'll read all your super chats. Plus, one of you super chatters will win a 6-month Patreon membership, patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL. Also, if you are a Patreon subscriber or thinking about becoming a Patreon subscriber, once I hit 500 subscribers, which I think I'm like 170 something away, around there. Once I hit number 500, I'm going to give one of you $500 USD, which if Trump gets his way, not going to be worth as much as they are now, but there's nothing I can do about that. So support the show, patreon.com/lowvaluemail. Help me continue bringing you this fine program. And look, it's good to be back. There's a lot happening in the world. I'll be opening the lines in, 20-ish minutes or so, because I want to hear from you. Lots happened. It was hard to pick, specifically things to talk about. But it seems like, I've been harping, obviously I'm from Canada. Sorry. Although I was back in Vancouver, it was nice. It just rains nonstop, but it was nice to be back. It is funny because, you hear about this, because, and as predicted, not to pat myself on the back, but I did predict this. Everybody was like, no, you just tighten up the border and stop the flow of fentanyl and Trump will just take those tariffs away. It's all just the art of the deal, isn't it? Right? He just says, I'm going to give you tariffs. You do what I want, no tariffs. Well, guess what? Tariffs. That's what we got. Gimp gladly asked, did you miss us? I did. It's weird. I missed each and every one of you retards. But I was back in Canada, and it's not wartime. It's trade wartime, which is different than real wartime, I guess. I didn't see any of the shop Canadian stuff, but it is funny because there is this sentiment. Like, we were at the shows in Vancouver, and you bring up Trump or America. It was also following Canada's massive victory in the NHL All-Star game. It is funny that you're like, that was just the All-Star game. But we were hyped about that, weren't we? It was a good game. I had to watch it on the plane on an Air Canada flight in fucking French. That's how third-rate of a country Canada is sometimes. We get on the plane, and the pilot actually saw Ryan and I. He walked by us, and he heard us talking about whether or not there'd be a game. He goes, yeah, TVs. You'll be able to watch the game. I was like, amazing. Be able to watch the game. Then the only channel they had, and the only sports channel they had in English was showing fucking curling. That was it. TSN. All they had was curling. Had to watch the game in French. I was honestly like, I was feeling the 51st state stuff at that moment. I go, that is just an indignity to make me watch that game. And everybody else on the plane. The whole plane was watching it, and we were watching it in fucking French. It was brutal. Brutal. But so, nobody's really, people were booing like Trump. People aren't happy with America in Canada. The Americans don't give a shit. You don't. I know you don't. Understandably, it's not really going to affect America too much. There might be, some people in blue states who are affected. Tough shit. But Trump is basically, he's terrifying anything that moves. And, it's his favorite word. Remember that? He goes, my favorite word is tariffs. And look, to his credit or defense, he did say that he was going to do this. Not the details, but he was like, yeah, I love tariffs. I'm going to do tariffs. And then he's doing them. And we're all like, what? You can't do that. Well, he is. And you can't stop him. Everybody just kind of accepted that the U.S. was just kind of chill. They were just the rich friend who you could just borrow $10 from and not really have to worry about repaying the money. Not any longer. But, some people I think are trying to do that buy Canadian thing. But the funniest thing is that Tim Hortons, which is, known as maybe the most Canadian brand, probably. It's giant coffee chain. It's not even a Canadian company. And there's very few Canadians who work there. Let me tell you, if you live in Canada, you know what I'm talking about. But they're not. So you're like, okay, the place where everybody goes, biggest chain in the country, not even a Canadian company. So I mentioned, not to drudge up the past, but essentially Trump's goal has been to restructure the global trading system. And it is interesting because Trump term one, There was no like, hey, this might be a little painful what I'm doing. Now, he's just like, yeah, probably going to lose a bunch of money. Sorry. I mean, the stock market got fucking hammered today. Absolutely hammered. Crypto, absolute disaster. Shout out Jew Bear. I don't know what it's worth, but I'm going to guess as close to zero as possible. Apologies if you bought that, but I told you. There's no intrinsic value in Jew Bear other than my existence. But it is an interesting change that Trump is straight up just like, yeah, you know, and you know, to his defense again, I suppose, he's basically treating this whole thing a little differently this time around. He goes, because, you know, the stock market gets you reelected. You go, we have a strong stock market. You have to reelect me. Look at your 401ks. He can't get reelected. I mean, depends who you ask, but I don't think he cares. All he really cares about are interest rates. And, you know, the United States, as I'm sure you all know, printing a new $1 trillion every 100 days. At least they were under the Biden administration. Crooked Joe. Is it Crooked Hillary or is it Crooked Joe? I can't remember. I can't keep track. Or Sleepy Joe, Crooked Hillary, right? But so they have this debt crisis, which is understandable. And the best thing to do is, you know, if you can lower interest rates, then it's a lot cheaper to refinance all your debt. And so that's what he's kind of focusing on with all this is he's trying to get the country out of debt, which honestly is a good thing. Women don't be liking that because women be shopping. But everybody knows that, you know, any of you, I'm sure some of you are in some debt, maybe too much. You know, it's not a good thing. You're not like, this is sick, all this debt I have. But in America, we're just kind of like, yeah, we just kind of just keep doing it. And it seems to be working out. It has seemed to be working out other than, you know, if you kind of look at the price of anything in terms of gold and then versus dollars, and you realize you're like, oh, they really have made us much poorer. Who's they? I know what you're thinking. And again, if he pulls this off, this will be absolutely legendary. Like if he actually accomplishes all the stuff that he wants to do, it'll be amazing. And we're not going to know. And the thing is, he really only has 2 years. That's the crazy part. Because, like, you know, to do all these things, some of that takes time. I guess if in 2 years from now, when the midterms come up, he's like, look, I like cut the U.S. debt by, I mean, really by anything. All it does is go up. If he's like, look, it's Doge and all that stuff, it's all down. Like the debt, we knocked off $7 trillion, $10 trillion. You're like, that's pretty impressive. I mean, the idea that it can even be done is crazy. Right? But again, Canada, not happy. Do we need to care about Canada? I don't know. It's one of those things where I think about it, I go, you know, all the people in Canada are mad. All the people in America don't give a shit. Like the Canadians are really just like, you fucking stabbed us in the back. But they're not taking it lightly, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't know what they can do. They can't do nothing. Like, obviously, that would be the ultimate cuck bitch move to just be like, yes, sir, more tariffs, please. Just I'd like to, just more, please, and just fucking shoveling tariffs down your throat. Last night in Canada, they elected, or didn't actually elect, a new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, former head of both the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. Nice resume there. But it's kind of a Kamala situation. He's never been elected. He's never held any sort of political office, which in Canada, you have to be a member of parliament. Like, it's kind of like a congressperson. You have to be one to be prime minister. He's not. Now, he might just be prime minister for 2 weeks, and then they have an election, and that's that. But he might be like, you know what? We're in a bit of an emergency. I might have to hold off an election. But it seems like an election is coming. But Canada, and, you know, like it'll likely be, he's prime minister for 2 weeks. But Canada is so retarded of a country that it might not. Like, I am actually kind of, and again, he's not a long shot anymore. I think it's like 60-40 for the conservative guy. Carney was like 10% chance not that long ago. And Canada, and like Trump just handed them, man. Trump just absolutely, and they will be the worst people to deal with it. Like, I don't even think the conservative guy will be good to deal with it, because Trump is just, you can't be reacting, all right? Like, you're automatically at a disadvantage if you have to react to everything. But, you know, Canada is not that type of country where they're just going to be unilaterally just doing shit, especially not to America. Wouldn't want to upset them. So it's not a good position either way. And I guess we'll see what's going to happen. Old Doug Ford, old Dougie, Premier of Ontario, who famously insinuated on the television that he would run me over with his car if I was crossing the street, if he saw me crossing the street. You'll probably find that clip somewhere on YouTube. I know it's there somewhere. He's not going down without a fight. And here's the thing. Whether you like him, don't like him, I think he's kind of dumb. Maybe it's just he talks that way because he talks really like slow, but and this is a little conspiracy because he was he's now the premier of the largest province in Canada. And you're probably just like, again, who gives a shit? But Ontario is probably, I think Ontario would be like the 6th biggest state or something by population, 7th. Like, it's pretty big. It's not nothing. But there was this guy, Patrick Brown, who was the head of the Conservative Party. He was supposed to be the next premier, and then they fake Me Too'd him. Like, I want to say it was like 2019. They legitimately, they were like Me Too'd him. Some girl was like, yeah, he was inappropriate with me at a party. He like hit on me at a party like 10 years ago or something. And this dude was like a real conservative dweeb, like not the type of guy. And I think he's currently the mayor of Brampton or something. But this girl was like, you know, he hit on me and I was underage. I was like 16 or something. And then he just got the boot. And then they just did this like snap election to get a new leader. And at the time it was a lock. Whoever was the head of the party was going to win because the old leader of the Liberals, this chick, she was like, had single digit approval rating. My conspiracy theory is that Doug Ford paid somebody to do the fake allegations because like a month later they started looking into it and they're like, oh no, she was actually of age. Whoops. Total hit job. But anyways, he's going hard. He's I don't know if you guys saw it. I think it was on during the Super Bowl, but it's like I've been seeing it on TV all the time. There's just like when the threats of the trade war started, like all the threats and whatnot, there was Ontario started, the province just started running ads, and they weren't even tourism ads. They were just like, Ontario, your pal, America, we're buddies. We're Ontario. Huh? We're sweet, huh? Now, that didn't work. I don't know what the fuck. They probably spent $10 million running these ads. What they possibly could have expected the outcome to be of just running ads being like, we're Ontario. We're cool. We're cool, man. Don't tariff us. They didn't say don't tariff us. They were just like, Ontario, hey, we're up here. Don't be mean to us. That didn't work. Amazing. That didn't do dick all. Again, it wasn't a tourism ad. It wasn't like Visit Ottawa or Thunder Bay or whatever the fuck. It was just, hey, we exist. Don't be mean to us. Now they're switching it. They're going to start running attack ads on Trump, essentially, which that is not going to work either. Stop running ads. I don't know who the fuck is advising him. But, and again, like, Ontario supplies, they slapped on a tariff. And I will say, because it seems like a kind of un-Canadian move, and they're kind of painted in a corner with this whole thing. But, Trump's like, because Trump's been fucking all over the place. This is, it's making my head spin. One day he's like tariffs, the next day he's like no tariffs. It's very hard to deal with it. And maybe that's by design on his part, where he goes, yeah, I'm crazy, man. I'm fucking loco. I am loco, SA. But he was like, okay, we'll take back some of the tariffs, but there's more tariffs coming, but some of these are clawing back. And then Canada was just like, you know what? No, we're just putting tariffs on you now. How does that feel? And we're not taking them off until you remove 100% of the tariffs, which is not going to happen. So they're just in a trade war indefinitely. Now, maybe there's some scenario that Trump's playing here where he's like, where he does have some grander plan where he's going to remove all the tariffs for some sort of concession. I don't know what. I mean, there was a leaked thing from the New York Times. I don't know the veracity of this claim where Trump wants to redraw the U.S.-Canadian border. Literally, he wants, and he's smart. He wants the water rights to all the Great Lakes. So he wants to literally redraw the border because it kind of like dips down through Lake Ontario. And he wants to basically make Lake Ontario totally American and then just essentially annex out all of southwestern Ontario, including Toronto, which is crazy. Shout out Logan for the memberships. Appreciate you, dog. And now he's putting a tariff on energy, 25% that's going to all these 1.5 million households. And then he's threatening to cut off the power entirely, which is, both of these things are stupid ideas. Because America will figure this out. My dad actually, I asked my dad, because my dad actually used to work for Ontario Hydro. He's an electrical engineer, or was. He's not dead. He's just retired. And he's just like, yeah, they'll make do. They'll be fine. There might be like some temporary like issues or whatever, but they'll be fine because you can get power from neighboring states as long as you have like certain infrastructure. So they'll be fine. So essentially they just will, get rid of this customer and then they'll just never come back. So Trump is honestly like, if he's trying to financially cripple Canada, which it seems like that's maybe the goal, I think he's going to be successful, unfortunately. I don't say this with any glee or joy. I know I referenced on maybe a month ago that some guy like canceled his Patreon membership because he's like, I don't like how much you like this Canada annexation talk. I'm like, I don't like it. I'm just discussing it. I don't want America to annex Canada or financially ruin the country where all my family and lots of friends live. I don't want that to happen. But it seems like if that's just what Trump's going for, and I'm going to wrap this up because I know you guys are sick of me talking about Canada. But I mean, I know a lot about Canada because I'm from Canada, right? But I think the big play, if Trump can get this going on, is get the provinces fighting against each other, because essentially Alberta and to a lesser extent Saskatchewan, they kind of subsidize the rest of the country, the other provinces. They send them all this money because they make so much money. And then all like Ontario is like, yeah, we're putting on tariffs. And then Alberta and Saskatchewan, which produces potash, which is like a fertilizer essentially, and is like, tons of farmers in the United States, they're like, we don't want to do that because we don't want to fuck up our business because we're making money hand over fist here. So we don't want to participate in this kind of like, all on board Canada trade war shit. And there's this lawyer from Alberta who's trying to like get a secession movement going. Man, if they could just pick off one province, if they could somehow just get one province to join America, Canada would kind of crumble at that point. Like if they somehow got Alberta, and I know a lot of Albertans love being Canadian, so I don't know how that would even work. But Albertans, they love their guns. You could convince them. You could be like, you get to keep way more of your money, get guns. You still get to be Albertan. Like a Texan's a Texan. You'll still be Albertan. And I mean, like my friends from Alberta, they don't like my friend Danny Martinello. He has an Alberta flag in his bedroom. He doesn't have a Canadian flag. I don't think he does. I know for a fact he has an Alberta. Like this guy like loves Alberta probably more than Canada. They kind of they have like a nationalist identity. Like I don't love I would never fly an Ontario flag. I wouldn't fly any flag other than Ukraine. But anyways, we'll see how that goes. I have one more thing. I'm going to open the phone lines up. I'm going to take calls in a few minutes. Phone lines are open. 1-888-949-2969. I want to hear from you. What do you think about everything that's been going on? Dainty Turtle says, enjoying the Canada Talk. Thanks, Doug. Thanks for the super chat. Nuance is Hard says, congrats on the wedding. The wedding was almost a year ago at this point. But we went on the honeymoon now because my fucking dog dislocated his hip in September. Alex Dam, welcome to Low Value. Shout out. And shout out to you all. Sean for Pittsburgh, hopping the J train to High Street. Okay, I want to talk about one thing. The phone lines are open, 1-888-949-2969. We got Mark taking the calls. And I want to talk to you. How do you feel about things that are going on? And I want to talk about one thing. I'd like to vindicate myself to a degree. Patriot Front. I have said over and over again, there's been a clip that's been going around of Ian Carroll on the Joe Rogan Experience. And Joe Rogan said this a couple times. I believe he said this on 2 podcasts now, where how Patriot Front went under the day after Kash Patel became head of the FBI. And I've said on this podcast in the last month, I was on record saying, I don't believe that they are feds. I do not believe that Patriot Front are feds. And now I would eat my words if this exact thing happened. If Kash Patel became head of the FBI and then Patriot Front just disappeared the next day. Except they didn't go anywhere. People keep sending me this clip from Rogan being like, see, they're feds. It's not true. And I only say this. You can go on their Telegram. They're still very active. I only say this because it is so funny to me. I don't know why, but it is so funny to me that Patriot Front is like this super organized group. They're all about just basically like only white Europeans are Americans. Everybody else is not American. I'm sure some of you are fucking rock hard hearing that right now. Right? But because they care about fitness, that's like one of their pillars of their organization is just fitness. Everybody's just like, they're feds. And I know that Rogan probably started that because he was the original one who's like, they're feds. And, you know, he has a huge audience and he goes, look at how fit they are. They can't possibly, which by the way, is a bit of an indictment of a lot of like white nationalist types where he's basically being like, yeah, you're just fat slobs. Look, they're not fat slobs. They can't be white nationalists. And it's so funny because they're like their leader dude, Thomas Russo, he just has to go on podcasts and just try to convince people they're actually like based and not feds. And like, it's so funny. He's like, dude, I'm not a fed. I just hate Jews and blacks and everybody. And I just want to expel every non-European person from America. Is that so much to ask? If you're a conservative and, you know, you're kind of out there on the right spectrum, come join us. And everybody's just like, nope. You're just too fit. That's it. You're just too fit. So anyways, I don't know. And I know some of you are still, even as I say this, being like they're feds. Is the volume low? Someone says, why is the volume low? Maybe you need to turn up your shit. Is the volume low? Okay. This is the real thing. I said it. I've been on record saying that I don't think they're feds. And I actually took a lot of shit for it because everybody's like, it's so obvious. They're so obviously feds. I'm like, I don't think so. Obviously, there might be some feds infiltrating it. That's a different story. That's pretty much every group. But to say like this is a concoction of the FBI and the federal government and the whole thing is just the federal government. And I know a lot of you have just been like, Danny's stupid. Danny, big L take Danny on this one. Well, I disagree. Volume is low? All right, how's that? Turn it up a little bit. Hopefully that's better. Volume low. Is the volume low just all of a sudden? Or has it been the whole time? Because that would have been nice to know. Would have been a good thing to know. The volume was low. Audio. Oh, I hate you guys all. I forget that you guys will fucking troll me for this. All right. Phone lines are open. 1-888-949-2969. We have Johnny Cirucci joining us. Top of the hour. Let's take a call from Canada. We got T-Dog. T-Dog, you there?
Hey, bud.
Hey.
Yeah, no, I got to keep my name anonymous. Want to bring it back to some of that Canada love. Saw you guys in Vancouver. I actually sailed over to see you
Where
from the island.
From Victoria?
Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to be there.
Yeah, you guys were great. You need to get Ryan to eat a little bit more food. He's starting to look like an extra from Schindler's List.
Don't tell him that, because that's what he's going for. That's an actual compliment.
Yeah, no, he's doing his inspiration movement there.
Yeah. He's trying to thin down for that summer body.
I don't know how much more he can go through. He's already starting to look like one of those 1980s aid fundraisers from Africa.
Kind of train spotting vibes.
So what I was hoping to chat with you about from the Canadian side, because I'm seeing all this all of a sudden nationalism, and it's not nationalism. It's just not being American, and
it's anti-Trump.
It's because our country's an airport lobby.
Yeah,
like we don't have any. We've been cucked for 10 years, and we've been screwed. But I'm in the Canadian military. That's why I can't give you my real name.
That's fine.
And we're getting a little pissed about what's been going on. Like with all this kind of like, oh, we'll fight them on the beaches, we'll fight them on the shores, and all these liberal cucktards that are the ones putting our asses on the. It's posturing. It's not going to be an invasion. I doubt that. But they're the ones saying, "Oh yeah, we want you to deal with it." And I feel like I'm like. It's like grabbing Anne Frank out of a concentration camp and the Germans handing her a rifle and go, okay, now it's time to fight the Soviets. Like we've been so abused for so long and underfunded. It just kills me, man.
I was shocked to learn how, I looked it up recently, how like when this all started in the annexation talk, how few members of the military there are in Canada. It's only like, you know what's funny?
We're short staffed, and they have hiring quotas where they won't hire certain types. Well, they prioritize certain types of people. And I'm sure you can guess if you've looked at your Alphagetti can of soup lately, what they're looking for, and it's not working. And all of our equipment should have been replaced decades ago. And yeah, it really, really hurts. Like the demoralization is palpable. And it really really hurts.
I mean, again,
and now everybody's acting all tough against America. I'm like, that's actually the one thing Trump had right. Like, I don't agree with the tariffs. I think it was stupid if you take hydrocarbons out. The tariffs don't make any sense, and they profit off of the hydrocarbons. So, like, that's it. But the one thing they can nail us on for sure is. I
mean, if he wants to destroy the Canadian economy, it's like, if that's what his goal is, then. The tariffs do make sense. It's just we're not used to Canadians aren't used to just the Americans being aggressive in any way.
We're not. We forgot about how to stand on our own 2 feet, and I think it's a real problem that when this is not going to be great optics, but. When you have 40% of the population wasn't even born here, and it's probably because they couldn't get into America that they chose this place.
Didn't the Canadian military just announce that they would be taking like if you were a permanent resident?
But they only hired 70 of them because they couldn't pass the security screening, and it's not necessarily because they couldn't pass. It's just because from Waka land, you're getting all your security checks and stuff like that. It's not going to happen easily or quickly.
Right.
Not to say that they aren't bad people, but
it just doesn't work.
It's going to be hard.
There's only 60 some odd thousand military.
roughly full reg force. Another couple tens of thousands, like 20,000 reservists. But yeah, that's about it.
Like, you guys obviously know that should there be any sort of like kinetic war, you have zero chance.
I've already got a bed sheet that I put away and nailed to a broom and I, for one, applaud our future overlords.
I mean, like, what are you gonna?
That's the thing. Like my liberal hippie like uncle is like, yeah, no, I've got a pistol and I'm gonna fight off the Americans. I'm like, you're not doing shit, buddy. Like,
yeah, wait till the drones show up and there's not even a person to fight. You're just like trying to pick off a drone.
Personally, like, and hey, I'm a Canadian nationalist. I like my country. Well, I liked what my country was about maybe 20, 30 years ago.
Sure,
but,
me too.
I like my country, and I'm a Canadian. I defend this country. I'd fight to the death. I signed up for that. But you're telling me I got to go fight America?
Yeah, I mean, again,
okay. Good luck with that.
Yeah, no, you know what's a crazy stat too? I saw this posted on Twitter, but so there's 60,000 roughly in the Canadian military, right? There's also 60,000. There's 41 million Canadians. There's 60,000 CRA employees, which is the Canadian IRS. Just as a comparison, there's 60,000 for 41 million Canadians. The U.S. has 90,000 for 340 million Americans.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and tell you we have a secret defense weapon that makes America never invade us. One, we're the California of the North. They want 40 million more like liberal hiptard Democrats. Yeah, sure. Okay. And then two, we got Quebec. That's the poison pill.
Yeah, Quebec is the poison pill. But yeah, that's
we don't even want them.
I know. Geographically, I don't know how you could deal with Quebec, but maybe there could be some sort of concession to them that they can kind of just be like a territory. Just be their own country, which they would probably love.
Yeah,
I'm sure they would love that. Everybody, like Ryan says the same thing. He's like, you guys don't want the French. I'm like, they could figure out a way to get the French in. They almost just be like,
I'm sure they could. I mean, you guys have not you guys, you're Canadian, but Louisiana, you got
tons of French speakers there. And then you also have like Puerto Rico and all that stuff where you have these territories.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's a bit of a misnomer. It's just a tactic. But I get really annoyed that all these Canadians that have voted for years of not letting our country grow a pair of balls now all of a sudden act like they have one. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, too fucking late. We're too late, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's my buddies that I work with. They're the ones that are supposed to be the ones that stand on the front line. I'm like,
now, do any of the people?
Nice job, buddy.
Yeah, do any of the people you work with, like, what are their feelings on this whole annexation business? Like, do you guys talk about it? You must.
Yeah, we do. There's probably about a quarter. They're like, I probably get better equipment and be rolled into the U.S. Armed Forces. So yeah. I don't know.
But 3/4 of them are like, I would fight to the death against American annexation.
Not at all. Most of them are just too depressed. Like, some of them are living in cars. I'm not even fucking
people in the U.S. in the Canadian military live in cars.
I know a guy who's sleeping in a car tonight. There's girls doing OnlyFans out of the barracks. Like
what? Jesus.
I'm not fucking making this shit up, dude.
Is it just because the pay's so low?
Well, it also depends where you're posted too, because if you're posted in a place that's high, like you're paid a salary, and it's not necessarily terrible. It's not great, but you don't get to choose where you live.
Right.
And if you live in a place that's an expensive postal code, you're fucked. And they haven't built like hardly any new housing for military housing, so you can't live in those crap holes. And then you're kind of fucked. And so what do you do? Like, there's people I know that are in unhealthy relationships, but they're financially kind of trying to make it work for those reasons, or for that reason rather. And then there's I know people that I've got a friend's place and I put my RV there, like my travel trailer, and I live in that. And I'm like, really?
So basically, if Trump's listening right now,
like you want us to go fight for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
If Trump's listening right now, he could get this done in 48 hours. should he want to.
And I don't want to talk too much shit about the organization because the people are actually the best
it's just you guys
Canadians
obviously
I've
aren't...
ever met. Like, they're honestly funny as fuck. They're really switched on. They're driven. They tend to be healthier, and they're what I think are the best Canadians. And
you guys just don't have the resources.
Some of them are new Canadians, but we've just been neglected by our first Black Prime Minister.
Sure.
And
it was more of a brown, blackish brown Prime Minister.
No, I don't know.
That sucks to hear.
A lot of the photos were hard to tell.
That's
Anyway, but I just for my Canadian brothers out there, we'll fight the fight regardless, of course. But you guys need to think about it when you vote.
And again, Canadians don't have guns. Really, and didn't they just have a recent confiscation?
I've got 13 in my house right now.
but for the most part, the thing with America is there's more guns than people in this country, right? And Canada.
Oh yeah, Texas is basically like the Taliban on with what's it called? No backstate grill.
Yeah, like I saw someone posted like there was some professor who was like, if America tried to put boots on the ground, all these insurgents would fight them back and America would lose. And you're like, what what are you talking about?
I saw that article and I just lost my crap. I'm like, most of these people, like, there is none of that. Like 40 years ago, like, were we kick ass in World War I, World War II, Korea? Hell yeah. Even into the 60s, we were kick ass. Now, and we want to be that porcupine that no one wants to touch because it's this rabid beaver foaming in the mouth with laser eyes. Yeah. And we're not. We're cucks. We had a cuck prime minister for 10 years, and now here we are.
Yeah. Yeah,
hopefully we'll get back. Maybe PP will make it. I don't know if he's the guy, but my political party never gets elected. It's called none of the above. So yeah.
Well, good.
I should not abuse your time though.
Yeah. Good luck, T-Dog.
You get back to things.
Good talking to you.
All right, bud. You take care. Keep doing God's work.
Thank you, T-Dog. Everybody from Canada. All right, let's take another call here. We got Charlie. Charlie, are you there?
Hey, Danny. What's up, man? How you doing?
How's it going, buddy?
Welcome back. Charlie from Florida.
Charlie from Florida. It's good to be back.
So I had a question. I don't know if you saw this or you've watched any of the clips or anything, but do you think that if you found Mike Myers' Elon Musk impression funny, that means you hate America?
If you found I saw a clip of it. I didn't it was the mannerisms were okay, but he was doing like a British accent.
I didn't like the accent really, but I thought kind of like the
impression was decent.
Yeah.
But if you find it funny, do you hate America? No.
No, well, I mean, because I voted for Trump. Like, I'm a Trump, one of the things I notice is that, if you, even just criticize anything about or do impressions of anybody on the right, people get really worked up.
Yeah, it is weird because I'll be fully honest. I'm not totally pumped with everything he's doing. I mean,
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy if you would just be like, yeah, I like everything he does. He can do no wrong. It's like he literally did a crypto scam 2 days before he went in office.
Right.
Yeah, but
it's always funny to me how people, they always talk about speech and comedy and this and that, but it's as soon as you do even just a mild criticism of somebody that they like, they're just like, oh, you're anti, you don't care about. I mean, it's this is just a joke. It's just
50% of the country is anti-Trump. It's pretty close to or maybe 45% or something. It's probably a decent amount. I'm sure there's some people at this point who did vote for Trump. I don't think there's anybody who didn't vote for Trump who wished they voted for Trump, but I think there's some people who voted for Trump are probably I might be regretting that decision. But the problem is their hand was completely forced because the Democrats literally just could not be normal people for the last fucking 4 years. Honestly, all they had to do Like, because anybody, like people who are like Democrats, like complaining about Trump or whatever, all they had to do was just be fucking normal. Like, just kind of normal. And Trump would not have won. But like, all they had to do is be like, hey, we need like a border enforcement. We shouldn't sterilize kids. We shouldn't let women,
it is very strange.
Like men play against women. And like, you know, we shouldn't crack down on like moderate speech infractions. And they would have won. They would have like won easily. But
it is strange the hills that they want to, you know, it's just very odd. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't I have no sympathy for them. And, you know, as much as I'm of the opinion that as much as we felt like, you know, everything was so crazy on the left, like it's seeming like we're probably going to get an equally crazy shit on the right now. Like it's going to be an equal, like, you know, everybody's like the pendulum swinging back. I'm like, it's not swinging back to 2016. It's going as far to the right as it was to the left, in my opinion. Like it's going to get fucking crazy. I mean, if it's only been 2 months, like Trump's been in office for 2 months. Think about how much crazy shit has already happened. I'm like, I can't imagine he's just getting it all out of the way at the beginning. Like we're having, this is going to be like this indefinitely until he's out of office.
Yeah, like I like your skits and everything, and how you're always able to kind of like make fun of both sides in a way that's like, you know, you don't always give your true opinion about anything, and I really enjoy that type of comedy. Do you think that that's like there's going to be room for that type of like nuanced comedy, or do you think people?
I mean, I'll tell you,
it's
the worst financially type of comedy to do. Like me and Ryan always discuss it where you're like, man, there's so much money if you just fucking pick a side. Like if we wanted to just be like right-wing grifters or just like, you know, leftists, there's so like, if you could just shut off a portion of your brain, like you can make so much money. But like people, I mean, it's like, we're who we are. And you know, there's, I mean, nobody's going to offer me something and they're like, yeah, these are the things you're not allowed to say. And it's gonna be like, oh, I don't know. Thanks, but no thanks. Like one way or another.
Yeah. I guess you could see like certain shows like SNL are kind of like, maybe they're swinging back a little bit by having like Shane Gillis on or whatever. And
yeah, for sure. I mean, that one sketch with the, like the local news race sketch, I'm like, that was hilarious. I'm like, you would have never seen that.
Yeah. There were some real good ones with him. It was great.
Yeah, that was solid. But I don't know. I mean, it probably, like, he's not like, you know, overtly some right wing guy. He's probably similar to us in that he's just fairly objective. I mean, maybe I don't know. We'll see. I guess it seems like you know, we almost needed the people on the left to kind of come back our way a little bit. But I mean, you know, which it seems like it's happening, but I don't know. I'm just doing my thing, and whatever happens, happens. Whatever Allah's will is.
It's just funny, like to how people, how like you can make jokes about people without like being hateful. You know, it always like has to be connotated as a hateful thing. You know, and that does, you know.
Well, that was back to a lot of the language policing stuff that was going on. You know, where.
Right.
Where it's just like, you're like, yo, these are the things you can't say. And you're like, okay, well, now I want to say them more.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So.
Well, I hope you keep the podcast going. I really enjoy it. And have a good one, man.
Thanks, man. Charlie, everybody. That was Charlie. We can take a couple more calls and then go to the break. Got some super chats here. Dainty Turtle, Michigan votes to take the beaches from Canada. What beaches? I don't know of any good. I mean, what, the beach on Lake Ontario? Logan says the volume was fine. Thanks, Logan. Vincent, back from goofing off. Shit. I mean, half of my time off was working, doing stand-up comedy. Dylan Farnham says, a year ago, I said they would be firing IRS agents and replace them with AI. Robbie and Lev both scoffed at it, and you allowed them to ridicule me. Now Shane Cashman is saying it. I demand satisfaction. I'll slap both of them in the face with a glove next time I see them. All right, let's take some more calls here. What's going on? We got Jake. let's chat with Jakey. Jake, you there?
Hey.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, so I'm going to Canada for the first time for my bachelor party. We're going up to see
Montreal?
the Panthers play the Canadians. Yep.
Nice.
And I got two questions. First of all,
are you
am I
a
gonna
Floridian?
get stabbed? Yeah, I'm from South Florida.
South Florida, nice. I mean, the Bell Center is one of the best places to see a hockey game. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, watching that, I was, with the tariffs and shit, I was like a little concerned about it, and then I saw the Four Nations. It just looked awesome.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Although I saw Aaron Ekblad got a 20-game suspension today.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Free Ekblad.
That sucks. But you guys have Brad Marchand now, so I don't know if he'll play, but
yeah. And then one other thing.
Yeah, you're not going to get stabbed in Montreal. Montreal is pretty chill.
All right. And the other thing is, do you have any recommendations for stuff we should check out during the day?
Stuff to check out during the day in Montreal. That's a good question. Fuck, I don't know. I mean, I've been to Montreal a bunch. I mean, you go to like St. Catherine Street. That's like the main strip there. A lot of bars and stuff. Are you guys like big drinkers? I mean, Montreal's like kind of a debauchery town. There's like, you go there.
Oh,
strip clubs, stuff like that. I don't really know like sites in Montreal, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure there are. Like, you guys want to like look at historic buildings?
Probably just go drinking a little bit before the game.
Yeah, if you're going drinking, go to St. Catherine Street. Okay. And if you have a chance, go to Schwartz's. Get a Schwartz's. It's I believe it's owned by Celine Dion now, but it's like probably the most famous food place in Montreal. It's like smoked meat sandwiches. It's really good.
Oh, nice. Is it like Katz's Deli?
It's exactly it's literally exactly like Katz's Deli. It's nearly identical.
Just more French.
Just more French, yeah. But it's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good. And then you got to get some poutine from like a truck or something.
All right.
But I don't know the spots specifically. But enjoy your time there.
All right. Thanks.
Later.
Bye.
All right. We're going to take one more caller. If I don't get to you, you can hang up and call back. We're going to have our guest coming on in about 10 minutes. All right. Last caller for this hour. And who do we have here? Nobody knows. Hopefully they unmute themselves. If they're not unmuting themselves, let's try somebody else. No, nobody wants to unmute themselves all of a sudden. Okay. This is great broadcasting right here. Oh, here we go. Hello. You're on Low Valley Mail. Who am I speaking?
Hey. Hello. Hi, Danny.
Hold on one second. Go ahead. Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
This is Birkin.
Birkin, what's up, man?
Oh, I was just calling. I just want to tell you how the entire world works.
Okay. Well, you only have like 3 minutes.
Okay. I'll see if I can pack it in. So basically, in times of economics, so when times are good, humans cooperate based on what's most economically advantageous to them.
Okay, makes sense.
And in times of economic contraction, we bifurcate based on lineage.
Okay.
And I think the whole world is going through an economic recession. It's we sort of run out of technology to continue the growth that we've had since the end of World War II.
So you're not bullish on the AI stuff? I mean, AI seems like a bit of a game changer in terms of technological productivity.
I think it will I think AI will dramatically increase productivity, but I think that it's going to be a very limited number of extreme winners from AI, and almost very few people have the capability to make good use of AI and really to milk that cow.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I agree on that.
yeah, so I think net losers to AI. And then so there's basically going to be, like, as Yuval Noah Harari says, like a giant useless class of people who we don't know what to do with.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, AI is going to wipe out so many jobs in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And they're going to it's going to do it all at the same time. Like, it's not like it's going to be some slow progression where, you know, people are slowly losing their jobs. It's just going to be like all these, and it's all going to be mostly white collar workers are just going to be made completely useless. The worst people to basically be made redundant because they're going to have the least amount of practical skills.
Yeah, actually, okay. So I think we're pretty much on the same page there. So basically, I just think, well, and so it's all kind of like ties into like the Palestine-Israel thing. Like, that's kind of the most logical place for humanity to split, is because there's the biggest genetic differences between those populations. So
you think the Israelis and the Palestinians have a huge genetic difference? I mean, a lot of Israelis are Arab. Like, you know, the Sephardic Jews are, I mean, that's the funniest thing with the whole, I've said it before, but like, because, you know, everybody ties Jews and Israelis in like this. And obviously, like, in terms of like the, you know, Jewish homeland. But like, I know a lot of like North American Ashkenazi Jews who do not like Israelis. Like, specifically, like.
Well, right. Well, who does it? I mean,
well,
come on, who are you talking?
Yeah.
No, right. So then it's sort of like, the heads of those lineages have significant genetic differences. They're not like the head of the lineage of like Russia and the head of the lineage of Ukraine. Those are both Slavic nations.
Sure.
But you mixed with the Germanic lineage. So that's like where the primary cause of conflict comes from there, because like when we're talking about economic stuff between countries, like people tend to value people who are more closely genetically related to them just by happenstance. Like,
people prefer people who are similar to them. Yeah, for sure. People definitely have a
like
preference
this guy
there.
has a cousin and like across the border, and so it's like these economic things are basically just downstream of how closely the lineage is related.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
all right. I got to let you go, though, because we got to go to the break. But thank you for calling in. Appreciate it.
All right.
Take
all
care.
right. Thanks. Yep.
All right. We're going to go to a break, and we'll be back with Johnny Cirucci talking all about Jesuit conspiracies. I'm going to read Fran dropped a super chat. Appreciate it, Fran. And again, one of you super chatters will win a 6-month Patreon.com membership. Patrick Riley, welcome back, Scroat King. Thanks, dog. Not to be a Jew about it, Patrick Riley, but if you gave 1 more cent, it would contribute to the fan funding goal thing, but I'll just add it manually. It just won't notify me, so I'm going to have to tally it up. That's what you want, huh? You just want to make these Jews do some extra work? It's fine. Okay, we'll be back very shortly with Johnny Cirucci. In the meantime, enjoy a video of some of my AI sketches that I made the past couple weeks. Plus, oh yeah, I forgot to do this part. Plus a clip from the bathhouse. We have a new episode of the bathhouse tomorrow night at 9 p.m. And again, guys, if you're listening, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and support the show. Patreon.com/low-value-mail, MAIL, win some money when I hit 500. And if you want to see me live, I'll be in Vancouver and Edmonton coming up April and May. Tickets at dannycomedy.com. This first USAID sketch, if you didn't see it, went viral on Facebook. And literally, it's so funny the differences. I know I'm rambling here and we're going over time. It's so funny the differences between, they do think it's real. And I find it quite hilarious. All right. See you all. Oh, shit. After the break.
We are only 28 days into Donald Trump's second term, and among the many controversial moves he has already made, maybe the most controversial is taking a bulldozer to USAID, cutting hundreds of positions at programs responsible for making the world a better place. We caught up with one former employee to get his side of things.
People are really scared right now. My job at USAID is spreading LGBTQIA plus causes in countries that otherwise wouldn't be receptive to them. And without USAID, this work could not be done.
Under Walker, millions of dollars was distributed to many different causes, such as $7.9 million to teach Sri Lankan journalists how to avoid binary gendered language, $5.5 million for LGBT activism in Uganda, $1.5 million to promote LGBT advocacy in Jamaica, and many similar programs.
The work that we're doing to advance LGBTQIA plus issues is very important. For example, we spent $1.5 million to promote LGBT activism in Jamaica. Now, many people know Jamaicans are some of the most homophobic people on earth. So what we did is we took that $1.5 million and split it 10 ways among 10 different Jamaican men, all for the hope that they will no longer be homophobic.
And how did that work out for you?
They said they'd think about it. I mean, it's probably a no, but that's a tough nut to crack. But here's the thing, homophobia is ingrained in so many cultures all over the world, which is why we need these endless sums of money to promote this stuff.
What is your response to people that say U.S. taxpayers shouldn't be funding stuff like this?
Unless you try, you can't be successful. Nobody really wants to talk about any of USAID's wins. Take, for example, a program we had in the 90s to advance LGBTQIA plus issues in the country of Canada. Now, it's currently shut down because it's no longer necessary, but everybody knows Canada is maybe the gayest country on earth. I mean, can you think of a gayer country? Exactly. And we can do that to countries all over the world. We just need the resources.
The future of USAID remains murky, meaning U.S. taxpayers will no longer be able to make countries all over the world gay against their will. That means no drag stories for children in Afghanistan, or drag queens at all for that matter. And the bureaucrats now out of work will have difficulty finding private sector jobs making countries gay, as those are few and far between. What would you tell Elon Musk and Donald Trump if they're watching right now?
Making the planet gay is vital to American interests, and it is in the best interest of every American that we gay up the entire planet. And the people at USAID have proudly served their country, no homo, and more importantly, they don't have any other skills to feed their families if this goes away. If you like that, make sure to subscribe and follow for more.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Follow and subscribe to Danny's Perfect Content.
You asked America, and I listened, so welcome to the Gavin Newsome podcast. I know no one actually asked for this, and they'd prefer I do my actual job instead of whatever the hell this is, but everyone knows I march to the beat of my own drum, which is why when I locked everyone down during COVID, I still went to fancy restaurants that you poor losers couldn't even afford to work at, let alone eat at. I appreciate the poor optics of another podcast hosted by a straight white male, but the world needs this now more than ever. And from what I've read online, most people don't consider me straight or a man anyhow. Have I made mistakes as governor? Not really. Actually, no. I have never made a mistake, ever. I guess banging my campaign manager's wife could be viewed as a mistake, except hypergamy is a very common lifestyle in California. Some people like to say I was asleep at the wheel, which made the LA fire substantially more devastating. But again, I haven't made any mistakes. Also, aren't you amazed how little I'm using my hands while I talk? My aides told me the way I talk makes me look like a complete psychopath. So I'm doing my best to talk like a normal person right now. Plus, I'm not a psychopath, just a sociopath. Those are two very different things. Oops, I'm doing it again. Old habits die hard. Don't tell that to my new campaign manager, though. Just kidding. Or am I?
If you like that... Here we go. All right, everybody. We are back with Johnny Cirucci. How you doing, man?
I am doing awesome, Danny. It is really good to see you.
Yeah, likewise. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you. So I mentioned off the beginning of the show that I can't remember. We had a caller or I think a guest who was told me, you know, you got to look into this Jesuit stuff. Right. And I did.
Is that the one caller? Did you have one caller?
I haven't had a lot. I'm not going to lie. I haven't had many.
So, wait, I can tell you a story quick. I can tell you a story.
Go ahead.
So,
go ahead.
So Mark goes, "Hey man, I got this buddy of mine. He is really cool. I want you to come on the show and talk about this stuff." And dude, I am yours, Mark. You are the best. I'm you name
Mark
it. I'll do it. Where and when? What time? 10 o'clock. Okay. Yeah. Wait. What time again? And who is this? All right. At 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Are you kidding me? All right. He's really cool. His name is Danny, and he's a comedian. And he's Jewish. Wait, what? He's Jewish. People call in and they have some issues with Jewish people. Like,
sure.
Wait. All right. Let me see this show. Let me see.
Wait, you watched the show and you came on still?
Let me see this show. It dawned on me. The low value mail is Dunk the Jew. So people call in and they pay.
They don't
super
pay.
Chats.
They're not paying.
No
much.
super chats. And there's no super chats.
There are, but it's negligible.
I figure so. I figure it's some of them were super chats where this poor guy stands in the dunk tank and they get, come on up. They get three throws, 3 balls. Dunk the Jew. Blame him for everything from measles to the extinction of the dinosaurs. Go. And this poor guy's got to sit there and deal with all these drunk Nazi Catholics. I am in. Let's do this. I am pumped.
I don't know if they're all Catholics. I think
let me tell you something, brother. I listened. Antonio Banderas, 13th Warrior. I listened. You would be surprised. You go back and listen to your own show. How many of them let that slip out? How many of them? Quite a few.
Interesting. So you got some beef. And so the Jesuits and the Catholics, there's a tie-in here. So first off, just explain the Jesuits, because what are they, like a secret society?
Oh my goodness.
A religion?
Yeah, so, real quick. Normally I spend like 30 minutes just telling who I am. I'm sure there's plenty of people say, who the F is this freaking guy? Listen, I did a lifetime. I was born and raised Italian Roman Catholic. I'm no longer Catholic, but I am still Italian. So that'll come out. 20 years in the military. Family is a 4th generation. I'm 100% Italian Catholic, 100% Italian. And so I was brought up with right-wing conservative, I now call conservatard values that pushed me into the military. And thankfully or unthankfully, I am a stellar underachiever. So I had all of these great ideas about school and the military and all these great things I wanted to do, and I did none of them. And what it did to me was it made me disenfranchised. And made me ask a lot of questions, so that by the time I was basically drummed out, I didn't get any bad conduct discharge, but basically I was kind of forced out. So by the time I was forced out, I was really on the outside asking a lot of questions.
People on this, listeners love asking questions. So
good. No, that's I could absolutely tell that. And so and through college, being right-minded, I learned the hard way of always defending my beliefs, because, oh my goodness, there is higher education left-wing in its ideology. So I also wrote a column for the university newspaper. I started blogging way back in 1990 something.
Whoa, at the beginning of the internet.
Yeah. And so I learned how to be a journalist. I learned how to be a journalist. And asking questions, especially my experience in the military, Marine Corps, Army, enlisted officer, 1 tour in Iraq was all I needed just to see what an absolute mess it was, and what a bunch of liars were in my chain of command. So asking questions. I had gravitated in the 90s towards conservative talk, right? Because they were the alternative. Prior to Night of Malta, Rupert Murdoch, it was CNN and MSNBC, ABC, they were all hard left. And then Rupert Murdoch shows up and gives us the alternative. Roger Ailes shows up and gives us Rush Limbaugh, the alternative. And Irish Roman Catholic Sean Hannity, and Irish Roman Catholic Bill the Groper O'Reilly, and Jewish Mark Levin, and Jewish Michael Weiner, aka Michael Savage. And so these were the guys I was gravitating towards in the 90s. to get away from just the hammering of the hard left agenda from mainstream media. And then the advent of Barack Obama came out, and I was like, well, why are you guys pulling your punches? This guy came out of nowhere. All right. This guy is clearly being elevated for a reason. And they're all, and everybody is all on board. Nobody's asking any questions about this guy. So I said, okay, time for me to dig deeper. And I spent about a day and a half on Alex Jones before I realized, okay, push him aside. This guy's job is to take my questions and have people laugh at them. That's pretty clearly. And this started me on this journey. Back in that time, really even to this day, Danny, it was Illuminati this and Illuminati that. And so, okay, listen, I'm a military guy. I know if you tell me I'm in a war, and this is clearly a war, if I'm in a war, you tell me, all right, go fight the Illuminati. What? Why don't you just tell me to go fight the deep state? Oh, okay, I'll go get the deep. Oh, the globalists. I'll go after the globalists. All right, these nebulous terms are by design. I can tell you how important it is for the bad guys to own intelligence, because the guys in the S2 and the G2, they tell you who to go kill for your country, right?
Sure.
Wave the flag and well, if they are telling you the wrong people, then you are defeating yourself. Okay, so it's absolutely critical to know exactly who it is. And I'm digging Illuminati. What are you talking about, Illuminati? Well, I finally come up with a name, Johann Adam Weishaupt. And what a story behind him. Why is nobody talking about this guy? It turns out that he has a Jewish family who converted to Catholicism, and they converted hard. They
do it for the indulgences?
No, that was, you are on it, brother. You are on it. That was a good 200 years prior to that. The whole purpose of the Reformation.
I've been doing a joke about how I learned about the indulgences, and I thought that would be a Jewish thing.
Give it to me.
Well, basically, just like how you can essentially get a coupon against buy a coupon against your sins, and I was like, that sounds like a Jewish thing.
Oh, you are getting yourself a lot of fans by that. I am for sure. Real quick, let me pause on my story and explain that was, you've got outrageous spending by the popes and just raucous living by the popes. Okay, pause on that. Look at a guy like the real families. Okay. Oh, who's ruling the world by the, if you look it up, Google, which changed its birthday to the 27th of September, which just happens to coincide with the birthday of the Jesuits, will tell you that the people behind us, the curtain there, the Rothschilds, red shield, right? Okay. Does it make any sense that if they really had that kind of money and power, they would be the first ones up and constantly everybody everywhere is talking about them? How about names like De Medici, Farnese, Aldo Brandini, Orsini, Colonna, okay? The Borgia. These aren't, nobody's heard of. They never come up in your searches, and yet they are real power, the so-called black nobility, but they are not power unless they are plugged in to, and forgive me, all of you Catholics out there, if you start drinking now, okay? Without the power of the Catholic Church, they are nothing. It is the Medici and the Farnese and the Colonna Orsini who are members, who are bishops and cardinals and popes. That's when they get plugged in. By themselves, they just sit at the table like Spectre. What a great scene in Spectre, the Daniel Craig Spectre, where they're in Rome and they all sit at the dark table. Okay, that is. I would not be surprised if that were actually how it goes about. But they have to be plugged in to the power of the Catholic Church. And the power of the Catholic Church reaches across the flat earth. Okay, we'll talk about that there too. Reaches across the flat earth. Okay, it is the power that has infrastructure. Secular governments allow the Catholic Church to run schools and orphanages and hospitals. As a matter of fact, I just watched Sam Tripoli interviewing, what was this guy's name? One of the co-hosts of Coast to Coast. I was furious because he was relating how but wasn't even just skipping right over it, how the Canadian government was in bed. Oh, nailed it. Who was that? That's Richard Cirucci. Yes, Danny, you nailed it, brother. That's exactly who it was. I was enraged, Danny. I was absolutely enraged because he was talking about how the Canadian government, and in particular Justin Castro Trudeau, were laughing off the scandal of the mass murder and rape and torture of Indigenous children. There was a mass grave of like 215 bodies that were found.
No, there was no bodies found. I'm Canadian. The whole thing was that they said there were all these bodies found, and then they were burning churches all over the country. I said this years ago, where they're like, they haven't found a fucking tooth or a fragment. They said they used a mass spectrometer, I believe, or like to survey the land. And then essentially they're like, there's some irregularities in the land. And then they just concluded that those were mass graves. Now, there were a lot of horrific things done at these residential schools. I'm not trying to downplay that, but they specifically were like, they had flags at half mast in Canada for like years, I believe, because of this. And then they have still not found a single piece of evidence. All they found was abnormalities in the ground, but they never actually found anything. But someone got tons of money for it. I believe one band or whatever tribe, they got $12 million to investigate this. Nothing found. But regardless.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just because that was like in Canada, that was like a cancelable offense for a while. And there's a lady right now, actually, she's like some MP, and she's trying to just be like, hey, the residential school stuff was bad, but they didn't find mass graves. That is not true. And she's getting in all this shit even still. And people were like losing their jobs, like journalists, for just saying, hey, there's not actually any mass graves. But the Catholic Church did run the residential schools, and they were horrible. And like, there's no doubt probably people died and were buried normally.
Yeah. So
yeah. Like, people died and stuff. I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm just saying there are these, mass graves.
The Vancouver Sun was full of shit when it says there were remains of 215 children found.
What year is this? What year is this from?
Residential. This is 2021.
Yeah. That's at 2021. That's what they were saying, because they had literally.
How do you make that up?
Because they had done this radar of the ground, and they go, there's these abnormalities in the ground. And they're just like, that must be. And this was during like George Floyd and everything. They just go, that must be mass graves of children. And it's not true.
What I smell? I smell cover up. I smell that maybe that was a false story blown up to be outed as fake news, so that the real horrors, such as the 2018 story of the Ontario Provincial Police uncovering the torture and murder of at least 3 children at St. Anne's in Ontario.
Yeah.
Being poo-pooed and whisked away.
I mean, not only that, there was, I believe, 120 churches burned after this story started making the rounds. And there was, as far as I understand, there was no convictions. They just let it happen. Right. And they were just like, sorry.
Right. 3, and this was an Indian residential school.
Yeah.
In which they were sexually abusing the children. They had created their own electric chair for torturing the children in this facility.
That's crazy. I mean, again, there's like, they did fucked up shit. I mean, I'll tell you what, this seems like a pretty good thing to just a rule of thumb. Do not put fucking priests in charge of raising your kids.
Oh, clearly, Danny, clearly. Do not put, and this
nuns.
is why. This is why the Catholic Church will not allow, this is going to sound crazy, okay? The Catholic Church will not allow its clergy to marry, to guarantee a lifetime of sexual frustration that can only have a negative outlet. That sounds crazy. I'm telling you.
I thought it was they stay gay.
Yeah, right. It's all. So sexual perversion and deviancy is critical to the hierarchy of this system. It's absolutely critical.
So let's bring this back to the Jesuits. So what is the Catholic Church Jesuit tie-in? Are Jesuits Catholics? Are they
the Jesuits are an order of priesthood within the Catholic Church. They are really, really dedicated. They are basically the special forces of the Catholic Church. Okay. They were technically founded in 1534 on August 15th. On the Feast of the Assumption of Mary. And I've got, do I have the list? Let's see here. let's see here. I want to make sure because Joseph's son, you son of a gun. I wanted to, please, do I have the list of all of them? Of course, Ignatius of Loyola was the chief founder.
And so are they still active, the Jesuits? Like
oh
what?
My goodness.
Do people like, is it like a secret society kind of deal?
Very much so. Very much so. Are they still active? They trained Donald Trump, dude.
The Jesuits trained, and explain that.
Yeah, Donald Trump spent 2 years with the Jesuits at Fordham. And then he transferred to the private University of Pennsylvania.
So and what do you mean they trained? Like he went to school? Like is Fordham a Jesuit school?
Oh my goodness. So check this out. This is so when people want to go, and so if you're drunk Catholic, you're like get them frothed up. Okay. So listen to me. Nobody controls like those who indoctrinate. Nobody controls like those who indoctrinate. The Catholic Church runs, I want to say thousands, if you count both the grammar, the high schools, and the colleges, thousands of schools.
Oh, it's actually schools. So I'm from Ontario, and it's a big controversy in Ontario because there's only 2 school boards in the province of Ontario. There's the regular school board and there's the Catholic school board. And the Catholic school board, people complain because they're like, why do we give just specifically Catholic people all this funding? Right. And I actually known many non-Catholic people. Like, so my high school, there was a Catholic high school, like 10-minute walk away, which was way nicer than our high school. Their facilities were way better. It was called Notre Dame in Burlington, Ontario. And I know people who weren't Catholic who went there because they were just like, it's a better school. But they're like, I'm not Catholic. I have to pretend all the Catholic stuff. And like, I just kind of go through the motions with it. But they're straight up just like not Catholic, but they would just go there.
Oh, and let me tell you why. Let me tell you the mechanism, the mechanism behind that, because there is a myth that if you want the best education possible, you go to a Catholic school and the best of the best of the best. As Will Smith and Men in Black.
Well, they just have all this. They have all this just funding. That's just they get money, and people in Ontario are like, why does only the Catholic school board get money, and then there's just the Catholic and public? Like, how are those
more
insidious
than that? It's more insidious than that. They are tribal. They are much more tribal than those evil Jews. They go and they look for fellow Catholics, especially those who've had Catholic training at a Catholic school or a Jesuit school. If they're the CEO or whatever, the human resources,
sure,
those are the ones that get the jobs. Those are the ones that get the opportunities because
kind of like Mormons.
Oh, many times more. And the Mormons are very cliquey, very Kabbalish, and also very Freemasonic. They absolutely, and nobody can profile a human being the way the Jesuits do. The Jesuits profile torture. The Jesuits ran the Inquisition. Run the Inquisition. It never went down, never went under.
The Inquisition never went away?
It never went away.
What's its current form?
The Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith.
What's that?
The Inquisition.
No, but what's the current form?
It is basically a school inside the Catholic Church right now. Gotcha. It's part of the hierarchy. The congregation, Joseph Ratzinger, when he was a cardinal, little Nazi youth, Joseph Ratzinger.
Yeah. Who then just retired to chill?
He was given a deal that he couldn't refuse. He was given a deal that he couldn't refuse.
Because popes don't retire.
Never.
He was like the only one, right?
He was told it's time for you to step down. And I am convinced this was in 2016. At that time in 2016. So as he was stepping down and Dirty War Jorge was stepping up, we had Peter Hans Kolvenbach was the superior general of the Jesuits. And then he voluntarily stepped down and Adolfo Nicolas stepped up. And then he voluntarily stepped down and then Arturo Sosa stepped up. So at this time, for a brief period in 2016, there were basically 5 popes. If you count the superior general, who is called the Black Pope because of the black power he wields behind the scenes,
This was
there
when?
were 5 popes. Roughly 2016, October, November. So a period of 2 months, 2016, there were 5 popes because of unprecedented stepping down from their position. I am convinced, Danny, that they were in the planning process for that happened in 20.
So the Catholics are actually behind.
My goodness,
COVID.
yes. My fifth book, Disciples of Raw, details how the Roman. Okay, wait, real quick.
What's the evidence for that? Yeah, go ahead.
What's the evidence? If you say HIV/AIDS and or coronavirus, aka COVID, and you don't say Anthony Fauci, Jesuit, lowercase j, was not ordained, Jesuit, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
So Fauci's a Jesuit. Mark says that the Jesuits run the entire universities, all the universities.
Oh my goodness. Oh my, and not just their own, but they run others. I suspect I've got sources that say they run the university, private University of Pennsylvania. I've got sources that say they run Johns Hopkins. You should look at the rolls. Look at the rolls of Jesuit alumnus, guys like Bill Clinton, guys like good grief, just for Georgetown alone, the University of Georgetown, and then go even smaller for the Georgetown Father Edmund Wall School of Foreign Service. Look at the alumni on that list. It is insane. And then you expand it to Georgetown, then you expand it to all Jesuit universities, then you expand it to Catholic universities, and it is mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And I love to give this example of Cynthia McKinney. Do you remember Cynthia McKinney, the congressperson?
No, never.
All right. Black Democrat leftist, I think from Georgia, congressperson. She made the headlines when she outed DynCorp, basically a nobody military contractor, in trafficking of women and children.
Okay.
Now, today, honestly, as you look back, the ultimate war profiteers were who? Blackwater.
Yeah.
Right? And who was the godfather of Blackwater?
I don't know.
Eric Prince.
Okay.
Eric Prince. Right? As a matter of fact, his sister was a part of the first Trump administration, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's tied into Trump in that whole scene.
Very much so. Very much
and
so.
And he's a Jesuit.
He
like,
is he is a hyper devout converted Roman Catholic. And so when I say Jesuit, so I want
do you have to be a Catholic to be a Jesuit? Can you be a Jesuit and not be a Catholic?
Yes.
Okay. Like, are there Jewish Jesuits?
Because you take an oath. No. And so this is what many of your callers are screaming at the screen. They're crypto Jews. They're Jesuit. Loyola was a crypto Jew.
And we're going to open the phone lines in about 5 or 10 minutes. So people have questions for you.
I'm scared. So yes, absolutely. And right off the bat, I will tell you that crypto Jew is the cheapest dodge to avoid real investigation of names, places, and dates. If all you want to do is slander somebody, you don't have to come up with any kind of data, any kind of background, any kind of shit. Oh, lawyer, he was a crypto Jew. Fact. Okay. Nobody did more for the Catholic Church than Ignatius Loyola. You want to tell me he's a crypto Jew? Tell me what he did for Judaism, and I'll tell you to go stuff it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this guy
Why do they say he's a crypto Jew, Loyola?
There is a joke critique of Loyola that says he was a crypto Jew, with no proof whatsoever. Okay. He was a Basque. He was a Spaniard. He was a Basque noble who was wounded at the Battle of Pamplona and forced to leave his illusions of military grandeur and dedicate himself to the Blessed Virgin Mary, which he did on August 15, 1534, with about 7 other very devout Catholics to create the Knights of the Virgin Mary. And then 6 years later, a Farnese Pope, Paul III, consecrated them. Hey, that Virgin Mary thing, that won't sell as good. I know, you'll be the Society of Jesus. And on September 27th, 1540, they were consecrated as the Society of Jesus. They are, like I said, an order of priesthood, and they are hyper dedicated. They are the best of the best of the best. They, for instance, look up the Chinese rights controversy. This is when they were the first places they went to was into China. And they went so native that you could not tell that they were Occidental Europeans. Learned the language, could speak it like a native, and all the other orders within the Catholic Church were enraged because they said, "Hey, this is syncretism. You're not even spreading Catholicism. You're so native. You're preaching Zen Buddhism. What are you doing in here?" They were taken over. They were taking over. So. How good are they? Like I said, look up the Chinese rights controversy of the Jesuits. They are the best at doing it. And that's what the fourth oath. It's just like Freemasonry, a secret society. Just like you said, yes, a secret society. And you prove yourself.
And the Jesuits started the Freemasons?
I have evidence towards that effect. Yes, I have evidence towards that effect. The Freemasons like to say a bunch of bunk about the time of Solomon and what they really were nowhere up until the 1700s. They were on the scene roughly about the 1700s, and their own historian, Albert Mackey, admits that the Jesuits created at least the first 23, 26 degrees. As far as I'm concerned, they created them all. You get a source like Helena Blavatsky, quite a Luciferian, who says, "Oh, the Freemasons were doing great until the Jesuits took them over." I've got quotes for you. I can pull them up.
So what's the evidence that the Jesuits started the Freemasons? Phone lines are open, everybody. 1-888-949-2969.
All right. So we have, like I said, Albert Mackey, the official historian of Freemasonry, saying the Jesuits created the first 26 degrees. There is this trope that Freemasonry is at war with the Catholic Church. And it is just that, a trope. I've got a very long list of Catholic Freemasons. Let's see here. T.E. Wilder, in his review of David Stevenson's The Origins of Freemasonry, noted the questionable agenda of Lucifer. Basically, Freemasonry allows the Catholic Church plausible deniability, allows the Catholic Church to do these machinations behind the scenes, but not have a direct link to Rome.
And so now, sorry to cut you off. So what are you hoping to expose? Like, what's the...
Who's really behind the curtain?
Ideal outcome here of just the world.
Who is really behind the curtain? Who is really behind the curtain? I have never seen this level of, I have to say it, anti-Semitism, okay? I have never seen this level of Jew baiting and Jew blaming in my life, in my research, with the exception of how the Jesuits created the Third Reich out of Munich. You know that Adolf Hitler, Mein Kampf, Mein Struggle, wasn't written by Adolf Hitler, right? You know that. It was written
I do not know that.
It was written by a Jesuit named Bernard Stampfel, an anti-Semitic Jesuit named Bernard Stampfel.
I hope he's anti-Semitic.
Everything occurred out of Munich. Munich was a Jesuit epicenter of Catholic power in Lutheran Protestant Germany. The beer hall push occurred out of Munich. I have sources that say Heinrich Himmler was an ordained Jesuit. So when we say Jesuit, you can actually say Heinrich Himmler, the chief of the SS, an ordained Jesuit. At least two sources on that. I've got two sources that Joseph Stalin, an ordained Jesuit and a Freemason. Okay.
So basically, you're kind of saying how all the people who don't like Jews are like the Jews are responsible for everything. You're basically that with the Jesuits, but the Jesuits don't really have a target on their back because they kind of lay low. Like I've never met somebody who's like, I'm a
by
Jesuit.
Design.
Sure.
By design. By design. I'm not saying that guys like George Soros and the Rothschild family are guiltless. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they are the patsies. They are the shields, the raw shields. Who carried the red shield in the battle? Romans. Why would Meyer Amschel Rothschild create his first incorporation and call it Meyer Amschel Rothschild und Son, Mars, the Roman god of war? As the legend goes, he was given inside information about the loss of Napoleon Bonaparte. We love him so much, we'll just call him Napoleon, at Waterloo. And he was able to beat everybody else out because he had inside information. How did he have inside information? Because Napoleon Bonaparte was an Italian Catholic Freemason. He wasn't French. He was Italian Catholic Freemason. with an Italian, pardon me, a French priest whispering in his ear the entire time, Joseph Sias. Okay, so they knew the entire time what was going down. They told Napoleon Bonaparte to suicide his army in Russia. All right. This is how the Rothschilds, a great source, Emmanuel Josephson, a brilliant Jewish writer, explains how you had a caller comment calling the other day saying that usury came from Freemasonic Jews during the Crusades.
Yeah, I've never known a Jew to be into Freemasonry, to be honest.
What? There were no Freemasons during the early parts of the Crusade. They really didn't exist before the 1700s. And usury came from the Roman Catholic Church and their Templar special forces, and the Medici and the Farnese. The word bank comes from the Italian banco, which are the countertop that the Medici conducted their business. The Templars, it is a fact, the Templars created usury as a method of safeguarding the riches of pilgrims to the Holy Land, because they would go to the Holy Land. They would be at risk of because they would be told to go on a pilgrimage by their church, which has nothing to do with Christianity. And their wealth would be at risk. And so they would give their wealth up to a Templar armory and establishment, and they would be given a receipt. It was a special cipher on the receipt that only another Templar could see. And that when they were done with their pilgrimage, they come back, they give it the receipt to a Templar who would read it for them, and he would charge them a percentage of their wealth. And thus was born usury, and it made the Templars more wealthy than small nations. And as a result of this, they put themselves on a hit list because of their power. And a French king by the name of Philippe le Bel, Philip IV, was the only one outside of him and Napoleon Bonaparte to put them all under his thumb for a temporary period of time. He moved the Vatican from Rome to Avignon for 70 years, and they killed him for it. He also suppressed the Jesuits, suppressed the Templars.
What's the difference between the Templars and the Jesuits?
I'm sorry. The Templars predate the Jesuits. They were the special forces in the centuries prior to them. They were knights of the Catholic Church, and they were more of a military order than a religious order. Okay.
Gotcha. All right, let's take a call here. This is all very fascinating stuff. We got Slav on the line. One moment, please. While we get to him, please unmute yourself. Post haste. There we go. Slav, you there?
What? Y'all hear me?
Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, what's going on? So, obviously, you guys were. Oh yeah. First off, update on that Canadian church burning.
Yeah.
I've worked with GPR, ground penetrating radar. That's the stuff they use.
Yeah.
So basically, they alleged 200 graves. They found nothing, but 33 churches got burned down.
I thought it was more than 33. But yeah, nothing.
No. 33 totally burned down.
Oh, totally burned down. Yeah.
Yeah, they got burned down, and now they're being replaced by some fucking sod head, blood skin,
ugly ass building,
raghead. Yeah, zero red.
All right. Thanks for getting my channel. Thanks for getting the episode demonetized again.
It's not my words; it's their actions. So
it's specifically your words.
Well,
does this every week. The guy doesn't learn a fucking lesson.
It's their actions. So
you're killing us, Danny. You're killing the Slav. You're killing Danny.
He does it every week.
Whatever. Yeah. Well, what is it? No, I called in.
Listen, Slav, hang on, Slav. You know it's a fact that the Roman Catholic Church has conducted serial rape on children. Okay, Canada, United States, Ireland, Australia, serial rape on children. It's an absolute fact. My third book, 800 pages on it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not denying that, but what is the sexual preference of these rapists?
I don't listen. Sexual deviance. I know that there are people out there that say it's because they're
all homos.
That's not the case. I don't think that's the case, Slav. I don't think that's the case. I think that They have no outlet for pent up frustration, and they don't care. Homosexual, heterosexual, little boy, little girl. They just want an outlet for their sexuality.
Are there a lot of cases of little girls being abused? I know definitely there were girls abused in the residential schools.
Yeah, not as many though. Not as many. It's a very strong bend. No pun intended, towards molesting little boys.
Yeah.
You know who don't be having these problems? Orthodoxy. Greek
They have them less. It's a good point, Slav. They have them less because they allow the Orthodox clergy to marry. It's still there, but it is. You're right. It's dramatically reduced because.
But they're all homosexuals. Well, majority, but yeah, no. So I was calling in because I always recognized the Jesuits to be like the original CIA, OSS, MI5, and especially when this was even before they went to the New World. This is when they were going into the East Indies, like, Java Islands and everything. So, like, how much are they still, like, embedded, like, Swiss Guard or, like,
I got you. Yeah, I got you. Can I take it and run, brother? You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. No less a source than Everett Howard Hunt, the infamous E. Howard Hunt, who was tied from CIA operations from the overthrow of Jacob Benz in Guatemala in 1954 to the murder of John F. Kennedy was it 62, right? November 22nd, 62, I believe. Everett Howard Hunt. As a matter of fact, they have him on tape, and I think like a PBS documentary, I believe it was it A Coup Made in America, where E. Howard Hunt is saying we had to go through the Jesuits to overthrow the government because they are the best at intelligence gathering. And you know what a big part of that, Slav, is? The confessional. The confessional. A lot of people out to go, oh, it's the Jews, it's the Freemasons, it's the Illuminati. None of them have the confessional. And the confessional for centuries has provided power and control and intelligence. When kings and queens, presidents and prime ministers tell you what their sins are, and some really dirty, nasty sins, what a method of control over them, just like indulgences. Oh, you're a little boy, you're a little girl, you lost them in childbirth, you lost them at 3 years old. If you just give me 3 months' wages, our Medici Pope, Giovanni de Medici, Leo number 10, he will pray your little boy, your little girl out of purgatory. By the way, none of this is in the Bible, which is why once the Bibles were printed by the Gutenberg press, they had to change their views. This was indulgences. Why does Giovanni de Medici, Leo number 10, need all your money, need the poor people's wages? Because he's got some orgies planned and he's run out of money. And really just that simple. When he was elevated to the papacy, he couldn't get out of bed because of venereal disease. All right.
Damn.
He had little boys jumping out of puddings. Oh, you want to talk about
puddings?
The papacy? Yeah, right. Desserts, puddings. Yes.
Oh,
little boys jumping out of desserts. Okay. You want to talk about the depravity of the papacy? Look at the Borgia Pope, Rodrigo de Borgia, aka Alexander VI. Okay, you may have better know. You probably have never heard of him, but you've heard of his daughter. His daughter, Lucrezia Borgia. Oh, she was a mass assassin poisoner, right? No, she wasn't. She was a patsy. She was his daughter. The celibate Pope had daughters and sons, and one of them was Lucrezia. He also had sex with her. His son, Cesare de Borgia, was a general and a cardinal. Cesare de Borgia murdered his brother Juan because of a fight over who was having more sex with their sister Lucrezia. And then he took Juan's body and dumped him in the Tiber. Okay, this is the depravity of the Roman Catholic hierarchy. But as far as intelligence goes, brilliant point, Slav. So the two most dangerous organizations, evil organizations in the world, sorry, I should not be drinking my beer, but this is my beer time right now, are basically...
I'm drinking up too, bro. Cheers.
Cheers, brother. Cheers. Do you like lagers or bitter hops?
Bro, I'm drinking straight tequila and smoking a cigarette. You keep running.
Much love to you, pal. So, the OSS, founded by Roman Catholic Wall Street lawyer Bill Donovan. Now, there's a legend around Bill Donovan. He was given a Congressional Medal of Honor for all of his bravery. I've read the citation. Okay. He was a Knight of Malta and a Knight of the Order of St. Gregory, and no way did he merit a Congressional Medal of Honor. It was handed to him. I know, okay? I've been to Iraq. I've been outside the wire. I know what bravery is, and that ain't it. I call him Mild Bill Donovan, a Roman Catholic Wall Street lawyer. Are you kidding me? A lawyer got the CMH. By the way, did you know that if you earn the highest Medal of Valor for the United States military, there's three of them because the Marine Corps also takes the Navy medal. What do you get? You get a pentagram. You get an upside down star. Isn't that nice? Mild Bill Donovan, a Roman Catholic Wall Street DuPont war profiteer lawyer, founded the OSS. Oh, and by the way, another complete unrelated story, a guy by the name of Donald Barr worked for him at the OSS. Donald Barr was the daddy of Billy Barr. Billy Barr was Donald Trump's attorney general, and it was Donald Barr that hired a guy by the name of Jeffrey Epstein, even though he was completely disqualified and unqualified to work at Dalton and be a math teacher. He had flunked out of 2 different colleges, and yet Donald Barr hired him to come teach. And before anything happened, he had skedaddled. Donald Barr said, I am out of here. By the way, Donald Barr, Jewish, a convert to Roman Catholicism, hyper devout, so that his children, like Bill Barr, hyper devout Roman Catholic. So he installs Jeffrey Epstein, and he takes out and then Jeffrey Epstein is arrested the first time in like 2007, and then the second time in 2019. And what happened? He fell on a knife 14 times, we're told. He committed suicide twice. On suicide watch in a federal institution, and he committed suicide twice, right? If you believe that, I've got a bridge
accidents
to sell you.
happen, you know?
Accidents happen, right? And the cameras didn't work. I hate when that happens. Nobody was there. How many people got fired as a result? How many people were criminally charged? This is the Osama bin Laden of pedophilia, right? Okay? Nobody, nothing. You know what happened? Bill Barr, the attorney general, the Roman Catholic attorney general, fired the Secretary of Division of Prisons and hired in his place a Roman Catholic female, Kathleen Hawks Sawyer. All right. And now for Attorney General, we have Pamela Jo Bondi, who was the Attorney General in Florida during the critical Epstein years.
Yeah. Is she also a Jesuit or Catholic?
No. Interestingly enough, she's got Italian ethnicity, which makes me think she's got a Jesuit in the woodpile, but supposedly nobody knows what her religion is. She might be Christian Scientist.
Well, what is it? I'm not too surprised by the whole Zog cabinet of Trump. I mean, my biggest hope is for the press secretary for the Pentagon. What's her name? Kingsley Cortez, because all these Israeli newspapers saying that she was like super. They said, quote, bigoted and xenophobic for questioning like the existence of the ADL and saying that Israel should fight their own wars. Okay, so I had one more question about like the Jewish capture of the Vatican, but you did bring up a good point. So when JFK was running for president, I mean, you guys weren't alive, I'm assuming.
I don't think.
I was
not.
I was a baby.
Yeah. So what is it? Everyone is like saying, "Oh, he's a Catholic. He'll serve the papacy before the nation." So the Jesuits, when they were first sent out and across like their first oceanic voyages, they were the handlers for the missionaries, and they were like basically like OSS and what were covert CIA for the USAID. Like when JFK created the USAID, sent out all these, kids who were like in college, like, oh yeah, do a semester abroad in like some shithole country in the mid 60s. And you'll have like some handlers who are just basically off paper CIA, field analysts, because that's their actual term. Do you think that has like, and good? Hey man, I like Kennedy, and he got killed by the Jews.
He got killed by Jews. Where did you get that?
I mean,
He
hey,
got killed by the CIA.
CIA.
Clearly, he was killed by the CIA. Clearly, he was killed by the CIA. Nobody has that kind of power and reach. Okay. Bay of Pigs was not a debacle. Bay of Pigs, which infuriated him, was a purposeful slaughtering of Cuban patriots to uphold the little tin dictator of Fidel Castro. He was a Jew too, right? No, he wasn't. He was a Roman Catholic trained 3 times by the Jesuits and the Catholic Church. His mother was a hyper devout Roman Catholic. Where do they take the prisoners? They take him to Cuba at Guantanamo Bay. Wait a minute, Cuba's supposed to be our enemy. How is it that we have a CIA Navy rendition site in Guantanamo Bay? Because what is above them? The Roman Catholic Church. Okay, so but patently absurd that Jews killed John F. Kennedy. It was the Roman Catholic Church that saw this as a golden opportunity to make him into take a pain in the ass who couldn't keep his pants up into a Roman Catholic hero, and no one would question that the Catholic Church was involved. I should go through the list of Catholic directors of the CIA. Okay, no Jews, Catholic directors of the CIA, guys like Casey and Colby and Brennan, John O. Brennan, Jesuit trained at Fordham, the drone execution for Barack Obama. I was going to mention the FBI, the other of the twins of the most evil organizations in the world. The OSS, started by Mile Bill Donovan, Roman Catholic Knight of Malta, and Wall Street DuPont lawyer, Wall Profiteer. The FBI, founded by Charles Joseph Bonaparte, a hyper-devout Jew? No, a hyper-devout daily mass Roman Catholic and the great-grandnephew of Napoleon Bonaparte. Okay? All of this takes place in Washington, D.C., which was originally called Little Rome on the Potomac because the architecture of Washington, D.C. is a mirror image of St. Peter's with the phallus of Osiris across from the womb of Isis. You've got an obelisk in the middle of St. Peter's Square.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Bro, you're preaching to the choir because I read Thomas Reeves. I'm looking at the book right now. It's his book, A Question of Character, which is like a book critical about JFK. And the thing is printed back from 1970s. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. It just gets to my last question about the Jewish capture. Yeah, the Jewish capture of the Vatican. And this is my last question is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pope Francis is lame as fuck, in my opinion. And
Slav, are you Catholic? Slav, are you Catholic?
No, he's secretly Jewish.
Nah. Not even that.
Slav, you're Jewish?
I'm Bobby Fischer.
You're Jewish?
You know, Bobby Fischer.
That's crazy,
Jewish, bro. Bobby Fischer. You know who that is, right?
The chess player.
The chess player.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
A Jew. One drop rule, Slav. I don't make the rules, pal.
Well, I mean, if it's one drop rule, then I'm a fucking chink because Russians got a gang.
Hey, man.
If you weren't demonetized before, you are
Jewish Chinaman. All right, Slav, I gotta let you go, man. I gotta. Okay, quickly, because I got so many callers here.
Right. The Jews take over the Catholic Church. Give me a break. Come on, man. But where's your evidence?
Okay.
Where's your proof?
Okay, so basically, it's a whole meme of right-wing Jews want to create wars in the Middle East, so left-wing Jews can shove all of their so-called refugee asylums into white Christian countries. And my whole thing is Pope Francis is lame as fuck, because he's accommodated both the Islamist takeover and the calification, turning Europe into a caliphate.
All right, real quick. That's it. I got you, brother. I got you. Let me run with you because we gotta go.
Accommodates homosexuals.
Okay. All right, Slav. I'm gonna let you go. Just listen offline.
Listen for the answer, okay? Let's look at America. Let's look at America real quick and the treasonously wide open borders for generations. Let's look at the magical waving of Puerto Rico in 1952, 54, somewhere around there. 59. Suddenly Puerto Rico is an American protectorate. 3 million Puerto Ricans are magically American citizens. What is the predominant religion? Generations, millions upon millions upon millions of Central and South Americans pouring over the wide open southern border. Donald Trump didn't do anything 4 years ago, or pardon me, 8 years ago. He ain't going to do anything now. Okay. All that is bunk pouring across the border. They drove me out of Pennsylvania, 2,000 miles north of the border, drove me out. Okay. Resendez Ramirez, the railroad killer, captured, raping and murdering across the United States, captured and released by the United States government in Immigration and Natural. Look at him, look him up. The railroad killer, Resendez Ramirez, captured and released repeatedly to go out and rape and murder some more. What is the predominant religion of these millions upon millions of illegal aliens? And cui bono, will use the language of Rome. Whom does it serve to have millions of these illegal aliens change the face and the identity of the American? Oh, come on, Johnny, change the identity. Look at California. Look at California, which is currently run by hardcore left Gavin Newsom, and a Roman Catholic trained, if I'm not mistaken, by the Jesuits, and a relation of Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, she's from California. She's been there for decades. She's been an institution, Italian Roman Catholic Nancy Pelosi. No, she's from Maryland, where daddy was the governor of, the mayor of Baltimore, and in tight with both the Catholic Church and the mafia. Okay. I'm not seeing Jews in any of that. I'm seeing Jesuits.
Okay. Let's take another call. We got Elliot coming up. Elliot, are you there? Elliot.
I hope this is my Elliot, because I got a good Elliot in my fan base.
I'm here. Hello.
Hey, what's up, Elliot? Go ahead.
Hello.
You're on with Johnny.
All right, great. Hey, Johnny. Yeah, great to be with you.
Thanks, Elliot.
This is your Elliot.
Good. Love you, brother.
I've got a general question. Well, Catholics used to be hated a lot more in America, and now they're pretty mainstream. What happened, man? I've got one of the things I like about listening to your shows, you drop a lot of good history. A couple names you dropped that I picked up I really like are Charles Chinnicky, Henry Grattan Guinness, and Alexander Hislop. And there were some of those big names that were really against Catholics, and they were really well liked and well read in the 1800s. So what happened, Johnny?
Yeah, Charles Chinnicky is known as basically the consigliere, the confidant of Abraham Lincoln. It was Charles Chinnicky, 50 years in the Church of Rome, who said he was confided. Abraham Lincoln said, the Roman Catholic Church is behind the Civil War and this division, and they're going to be the death of me. The Jesuits, I put myself, as a matter of fact, Charles Chinnicky, it was Abraham Lincoln that defended Chinnicky against false charges of sex abuse. That were trumped up by him because he had left the Catholic Church. And so the Catholic Church had gotten women to complain that he had assaulted them. And Abraham Lincoln defended him in a court, and he won. They won. And Chinnicky says, I'm devastated. I'm crying tears. And Abraham said, well, why? You won. They're for you, because they never forgive or forget. And that's exactly what happened. And that's 50 years in the Church of Rome is a brilliant insight.
Wait, are you saying the Jesuits started the Civil War?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, the great source on this is Chinnicky's 50 years in the Church of Rome. Jefferson Davis, what Pope? The Pope at that time gave a personal letter of support to Jefferson Davis. I've got it in my files. Listen, it is absolutely unquestionable that Abraham Lincoln was killed by a Jesuit plot. Killed by a Jesuit. Who killed Abraham Lincoln?
John Wilkes Booth. Was he a Jesuit?
John Wilkes Booth was one of many of the Catholic cabal. John Wilkes Booth was a Catholic convert. His sister was a Catholic convert. The epicenter of the murder plot was the Surratt family, Surratt, the Surratt family. You'll never guess. They were Jewish, right? No, they were hyper devout Roman Catholic. They were so Roman Catholic that the matriarch of the family, Mary Surratt, refused. She ran a boarding house. She refused to rent her rooms to anyone who wasn't Catholic. John Surratt was a key conspirator in the plot, and he was a seminarian. He was training to be a priest. After Lincoln was killed, Surratt fled the country and was given succor by the Roman Catholic Church. He repeatedly was put in the disguise of a priest. He eventually was put in the disguise of the Swiss Guard, and he was captured in Egypt and sent back to the United States. Oh, and there was a mistrial, and he was set free. Okay, so the Surratt, Surratt family, hyper devout Roman Catholic.
And they were behind, and they killed Lincoln. They were the conspirators.
Absolutely. Hyper devout Roman Catholic. No fewer than like 5 different Roman Catholic priests came to give character witness for Mary Surratt at the trial, and supposedly she was hung anyway. Had a hood over her. Who knows if it was actually her?
Anything else, Elliot?
Great
well,
point.
Just
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Johnny's a great resource. Three other names he's used that I like are Joseph McCabe, Avro Manhattan, and Edwin Paris. And these are from the 1930s and 40s, so more recent. So the tradition never died out. It just got a lot weaker. Johnny is still maintaining the tradition. It is an American tradition to resist Catholicism and fight it in some way. So it never died out, but it got a lot weaker. So Johnny, how did tradition get so much weaker?
It's a Christian tradition, Elliot. It's a Christian tradition. It's been erased. Christians today, 98% of Protestant evangelical fundamentalist Christians are taught Jesuit eschatology. You ask the average Christian on the street, who's the Antichrist? And they'll say, I don't know. I think he's going to be like a Muslim, and he'll be like in the future, and he'll do a contract with Israel, and he'll break it halfway through. That's the Antichrist. Yeah. That is Jesuit eschatology. It's called futurism. Alcazar, Ribera, these are Jesuits that preach this stuff. Completely erased, Elliot. Great point. Completely erased. 500 years ago, all of the greatest breakout Christian thinkers, Luther, Calvin, Knox, Zwingli, many of them who were burned alive by the Catholic Church, Tyndale, Jan Hus, Jerome of Prague, John Wycliffe, Peter Waldo. These are men who were in rebellion against the Catholic Church, who were carrying the Bible, who were renegades, and many were hunted down and burned alive. Many were tortured and killed by the Catholic Church. In unison, they all called the Catholic Church the great harlot, and clearly she is, of Daniel, the fourth and final beast of Daniel. In Daniel chapter 2, we have Nebuchadnezzar's dream. By the way, Daniel, great name. The greatest prophet. Daniel chapter 2, we have Nebuchadnezzar and his dream of the human statue with the 4 metals of gold, silver, bronze, and iron mixed with miry clay. And all the basic Christian scholars will tell you that the legs of iron are Rome. Why does it end with Rome? Then Daniel confirms this in Daniel chapter 7, and this fourth and final beast that's more terrible than the previous beast is, again, Rome. We start with Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome, and it always ends with Rome. Revelation 17 bleeds and breathes the Roman Catholic Church, the great harlot, drunk on the blood of the saints, clothed in scarlet and purple. All the kings come and drink from her fornications and her chalice. That's Rome. That is the Roman Catholic Church. No entity has killed more Christians than the sovereign state of Rome. Military Rome, religious Rome, that's been wiped. Like I said, like Elliot pointed out, 98% of Christian churches have no idea of this. It's been erased. They teach Jesuit eschatology. Nobody knows that every pope is Antichrist because they are the little horn of Daniel. Just like Jesus predicted in Matthew 24. He said, many will come in my name. Who's the Antichrist? Hitler? Maybe Mao? Did any of these people ever claim to be Jesus Christ? Did any pope ever claim to be Jesus Christ? Every pope that sits ex cathedra from the chair writes or speaks in capital plural pronouns with the little horn of Daniel speaking great blasphemies. That the vicarious filii Dei, that if you spell that out in Latin, the numerological number is 666. Erased. Unbelievable power. Unbelievable power. The power to turn your flat earth into a spinning globe.
Interesting.
Jesuits.
All right. Thank you, Elliot.
Love you, Elliot. Appreciate you, pal.
Let's take another call here. We got Billy from Philly. And if you're on the line, hang on. We'll do our best to get to you. Billy.
Danny boy.
From Philly. How you doing, buddy?
What's it? Hey, handsome. Hey, I went to a Jesuit high school, St. Joe's Prep in Philadelphia.
Interesting.
And it was, yeah, it was different because I'm raised Roman Catholic, and all those priests there were all real laid back. They'd be smoking, like, back then you could smoke pipes, like tobacco pipes they'd be smoking pipes in the hallways and had like room, like their own rooms where you can come in. They'd be watching Monty Python movies and shit. Like it was like kind of really weird to me how relaxed, and they didn't really wear their collars all the time. They had like open button collars and shit. They're kind of really odd.
They're just kind of chill.
Religion.
They're hip, man. They're hip. They're hip. Real quick, Billy. So let me address this. So you went to a Jesuit school. This and you being Catholic, this has an unseen power on you. And I used Cynthia McKinney. I started to tell a story of Cynthia McKinney, the Georgia congressperson that was in the headlines for outing DynCorp for trafficking women and children. She was her parents were Protestant. They were evangelical, and they sent their daughter to a Catholic school because they wanted her to get the best education. Do you know that she was so impressed by being at a Catholic school, she decided she was going to become a nun? And instead, she just became a hyper devout Roman Catholic. That is the power. If you don't have something stronger than this power of control, look at a guy like Denzel Washington. He was trained by the Jesuits at Fordham, I believe. And this has an indelible link. Look at you. I mean, all these years later, it still has a hold on your mind. How hip these Jesuits were.
They got their shit together. It sounds like.
Well, they are powerful.
Yeah.
They have control.
Yeah, they're very influential with how they were able to. I could see how they were like duping other kids into like their kind of way of talking and thinking. Then a bunch of them did go to Jesuit colleges, and they're like south, like the Georgetown and Fordham. I was also going to mention there's a really good Michael Phelps, not the swimmer. There's a professor at Scranton University who's a huge Jesuit researcher. If you can find him, they took a lot of his videos down, but find him, and he's got a boatload. He's like specializes in Jesuits.
Yeah, like as far as go ahead, Billy, finish up.
I just got to also say that the Marines, they got all their training from the Jesuits.
That's absolutely correct. Live there, done it. Live there, done it. Absolutely correct. They are the ultimate Jesuits. They are the ultimate Jesuits. What is the Jesuit motto? To break you down so that parende ac cadaver, you do not have a will of your own. You have the will of a dead man. That is absolutely Marine Corps training, to destroy yourself, to destroy you, who you are personally, and rebuild you into a smart weapon. Live there, been there, done it. You're absolutely correct.
Cool. All right. Well, I'll let you get on with your calls. I love you guys. Have a good
day. Appreciate you.
Good talking to you, man.
Right.
Billy from Philly, everybody. All right. Let's take another call here. We've got Jared, the J-Man. Jared, are you there?
How you doing, buddy?
Very well.
Yes,
How are
sir.
you?
I'm here. I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. What's up, Jared?
So, I wanted to discuss the Jewish Jesuit influence into the creation of the Society of Jesus.
Okay.
And like the gentleman said, there's information and talks, and people have done research, and there's individuals that have put out theses on this topic that the founder and the 6 other individuals who were with him when they went in the crypt that day, at least 4 of them were known Jews, and Ignacio Loyola was a Jew as well. So,
based on what? Jared, based on what? What's your information? Give me your sources on that.
there's a book called The Jesuit Order as a Synagogue of Jews. Jesuits of Jewish ancestry and purity of blood laws in the early society of Jesus. Okay? That's the book. And that's where I'm just starting from. Okay? So for the sake of time, what we'll do is we'll just mention Ignatius was born blah 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 in Spain, this, that, and the other. So when it was formed, there were 6 founding members or 7 founding members. This individual provides categorical evidence that 4 were of Jewish ancestry: Salmeron, Lainez, Bombadilla, and Rodriguez. And then we also suspect
those are very Jewish
Loyola,
names, by the way. Very Jewish names, by the way.
Well, Sephardic Jews, and what most people
Hispanic
don't know
Jews. They were Hispanic Jews.
Well, if you allow me to speak, sir.
I'm sorry. Listen, I apologize. Go ahead.
In the 1300s, Jews were forced to convert. In the late 1300s, Jews were forced to convert to Catholicism through threat of
Conversos.
death.
Conversos, yes.
Correct. And what we're saying is, just like Zabbatai Zevi, a very famous crypto Jew who had a very large following.
He was openly Jew. He was a messianic openly Jew. I Sabbatai Zevi. Nobody's going to be fooled by that. He was openly Jew, and he was a Messiah, and he died.
Zevi was acting as a Muslim when he converted to Islam. No.
I've never heard that he was a Muslim. I've always heard that he was a Jewish Messiah.
Do some better research then before you start talking, because
I never brought him up. I never brought him up. You brought him up.
I'm bringing him up because what I'm saying is, just like Ignacio.
Yeah, he was a Jew. What did he do for the Jews? What did Salmeron? What did Loyola? What did they do for the Jews? Because you're saying he's a secret Jew.
They formed a secret society within the Catholic Church that would steer and direct it in the same fashion that they're behind
the Jesuits. I ask you again, what do the Jesuits do for the Jews? What do the Jesuits do for the? Because anybody can say, anybody can spin.
They subvert Christianity. They subvert Christianity with a lie that is Catholicism. They use a lot of bullshit. That's what they're talking about, fucking aliens and LGBTQ kids and recognizing gays. The Catholic Church is fucked up. You're not allowed to get married. How are you not allowed to? That's some of the gayest, weirdest shit I've ever heard of.
That has nothing to do with the Jesuits.
Okay. No, it has 100% to do with the direction that the church went in. It was controlled by the Jesuits. The Black Pope runs the fucking church, not the fucking white Pope.
Since 1540. But many of these doctrines have been since the founding of the Catholic Church in 538. They've been unchanged. The Jesuits are newcomers in 1540. The Catholic Church has always been perverse and unchristian from the beginning. So yes, the Jesuits have
subverted by the Conversos and the order of the Jesuits, which steered the Catholic Church going forward. I mean, maybe prior to the 1500s, this wasn't the case. But what I'm saying is,
for a thousand years.
Well, maybe they weren't able because they were using their influence in other areas, other places, other countries. They didn't make their way to that area. But what I'm saying is that the Jesuit organization, Society of Jesus, it's a Jewish creation. The same thing as Freemasonry. It's Jewish.
Freemasonry is not Jewish, dude.
I've never met a Jewish Freemason.
100%. You can look up the quote. There is no Freemasonry without Judaism. You can look it up.
That's your source? Right. Okay. All right. I will look up.
Dude, just look it up, big guy. Come on now. You got fingers.
All right. So listen, I got to say, so for 1,000 years, the Catholic Church was unchanged until the advent of the Jesuits. And simply because
the Catholic Church has changed on multiple occasions. I mean, one thing I can say,
the basic problems, you're absolutely correct that it is not Christian. You're absolutely correct. But the basic issues of control, of hierarchy, of using confessionals, of the Pope being the the bridge builder, the great bridge builder. All of this stuff started with Constantine, roughly 300 AD, and continued on. So that's the Dark Ages. The Bible was suppressed for 1,000 years. Many of these problems, there were changes, but the majority of these problems, what makes Catholicism not Christian, long before the Jesuits. And so, yes, I agree with you. The Jesuits have pulled the Catholic Church hard left, but I'm not buying it that they are a Jewish insurgency, pal.
So there's a group of people called the Alumbrados, okay?
Right.
And the Alumbrados was a term used loosely to describe practitioners of a mystical form of Christianity, which was essentially they're practicing Kabbalah and doing Jewish mysticism. And these were the people that formed the Society of Jesus. These are Sabbatean Jewish communities that were forced to become Catholic and then used what they do and their ability to keep tight-knit familial bloodlines to infiltrate, prop each other up, fund, and support individuals that were like-minded. And
the Alumbrados is very much European and Catholic. The Illuminati, they're basically the euphemism of the Illuminati.
Founded by Weiss Top, Illuminati, Bavarian Illuminati. Weiss Top, he's a Jew.
He's a Jesuit. He's a convert. He's a Jesuit, dude. He's an ordained Jesuit. Are you kidding me?
You keep saying this fun word. You keep saying this very fun word.
You keep saying a fun word. It's a joke. Listen, you can throw that slang. You can throw.
Guys, calm down. Let's have a civil conversation here. Come on.
Attorney General Barr. Oh, he's a devout Catholic. He's not a Jew. He's a fucking Jew.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
You go look it up. You go look it up. They're fucking Jews.
This is what.
Bro.
Hey, Danny. This is what they do. They use Jewish converts. The Jesuits, the Roman Catholic Church. They use Jewish converts. Okay, give me a minute for this guy.
Yeah,
they use Jewish converts to froth up guys like
let
this.
Me speak. He cut me off every time I.
Hey, guys,
poked out of his mind, bro.
They use Jewish. You're diseased. You're diseased. I've had it with you guys. I've absolutely had it with you guys. Right. You were diseased. Tell me what your solution is. Tell me what your solution is to stop all these Jews.
Sorry.
Tell me what your solution is.
I hung up on him for the cat noises. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I look at Bill Barr. I mean, Jared's going off of essentially the one drop
Bill
rule.
Barr is hyper devout Roman Catholic. You know them by their fruits. What do? All of these Jew baiters, they want to claim of these people. Half these people, they don't even have evidence that they are Jewish. Show me how they've helped Judaism. Show me what they've done for Judaism. Oh, they've misled Catholicism into the far left. How is that a Jewish agenda? What are the names of the places and dates? The Roman Catholic Church and the Jesuits are very cunning.
Here's an article from the National Catholic Reporter from 2020. It says, William Barr, nation's top lawyer, is a culture warrior Catholic.
Hyper devout.
But Jared's going off of essentially one drop rule where he goes, he has some Jewish lineage, therefore he's a Jew.
They were converts. His father converted, and he was okay. I promise you.
Here's an article from The Nation, 2019. William Barr is neck deep in extremist Catholic institutions.
Yeah, right. Extremist, just like Timothy McVeigh was an extremist Catholic. He was trained in St. Mary's, Kansas, at a St. Pius X Foundation facility for Catholic terrorists. Did you know that?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
I didn't.
Nobody knows that.
No, I didn't.
Nobody knows that.
Sorry,
okay.
I was reading up on Bill.
So they are hyper devout, and they know this. They froth up guys like Jared. They use these Jewish converts, and who's to say? Who's to say whether they're converts?
I think Jared might have a couple biases.
A little bit. You think a little bit? Here's my problem.
Based on my calls with him.
Danny, listen to me. Danny, here's my problem with the Jew baiters. What's your solution? Final solution? How are you going to win?
I believe so.
How are you going to beat them?
I believe that is. I believe that's what they're going for. Yes.
Round them up. And this is exactly what they want. Divide and conquer. And this is my concern.
So would you even go as far as to say that Jared is some sort of Jewish pawn?
No, he's a Jesuit pawn.
Oh, gotcha.
He is absolutely fixated on Jews. Absolutely fixated, no matter what you do or say.
Just to clear up, you're not, just for the people, you're not Jewish. You're a Christian, correct?
I am my ethnicity is 100% Italian, both my father and my mother. I was born and raised Roman Catholic. And on January 16th, 1994, I became a born again Christian. There's no Jew in it at all, anywhere. I am a born again Christian.
Okay.
And I have been for over 30 years.
Okay.
I don't know, 30.
Just to clear that up, people just want to know, you're
No, all I want is to dispel the BS. I just want to dispel the BS. And I want a formula that will win against this war. It is a war. It is absolutely a war. And the Jews are being jammed up into the spotlight as patsies, as targets. For people like Jerry to get frothed up, I've got guys, people will say, they will openly say, round them up. Openly say, round them up. Okay? Who are the real enemies? At the bare minimum, I will grant you that these powerful families, like the so-called Rothschilds, are players. They're managers. They're power players. Emmanuel Josephson explains how the Catholic Church realized that they could not openly deal with usury because too many Catholics were getting enraged. So that was the impetus for taking Jewish bankers and making them take the heat on behalf of the Catholic Church. The Encyclopedia Judaica says that the Rothschilds are simply the keepers of the Vatican treasury. They knew they wanted patsies. So if people rise up and to go in the streets, do the crystal knocked and go after who are they going to get? Are they going to go after the Rothschilds? Are they going to go after the swords? No, they have private armies to protect them. They're going to go after Danny Polishuk. They're going to go after whoever's on the Jewish delicatessen. Okay. And that's exactly
it's
what
mostly Hispanic guys who work there.
Exactly what the machine wants. What is your solution, Jared?
Jared's gone, but he's probably listening. We're going to take another call. This has been very illuminating. We got a few more callers. Thank you again for coming on, Johnny. I can tell you're very passionate about the subject. I
am very passionate. I just wanted to spell the BS.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's good to get it. It's good to get another side of it. We got Tim.
Nobody talks this, and I'm telling you,
I've never heard it.
Listen, intuitively, if the people in control are really in control, who are they going to present you? If they have all the wealth, if they control the internet, and boy, do they ever, are they going to tell you who they are, or are they going to give you patsies to go after? What makes more sense?
Interesting. Tim, are you there?
I am.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you great. You're on with Johnny.
Johnny, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm Italian, Tim. I'm very Italian right now. Great to hear from you.
I'm Italian as well. So,
buongiorno.
Okay. I have 2 or 3 questions for you. At what point did you turn away from Catholicism and go to the whole, Jesuit stuff?
Whatever that Jesuit
At what
stuff.
point in your life, was there a certain time that you made a decision?
Yes. I was in college, and a good buddy of mine heard me blaspheming every other word, JC this and GD that. And he said, dude, do you have any idea what you're saying? And I'm like, no, they're just words. He said, listen, you're complaining about being alone. I want to take you to my evangelical non-denominational church, and there's a lot of great, pretty girls there. They're really quality girls. I want you to go and scope out the women. And I went to this evangelical church. I had always wanted to know the Bible. I had always wanted to know about Jesus, and Roman Catholicism kept him from me. It was all about Mary and angels and saints and dead people and Jesus as a baby, and Jesus with his heart on the outside of his body. Pray to the Sacred Heart. Pray to Mary. Pray to anybody but have a relationship with anybody but Jesus Christ. And I walked into this evangelical church, and I was just blown away. People were wonderful. They were welcoming. There was comfortable. There was a bookstore. There was a coffee shop. And this guy, I'm getting a chill talking about it, came out on the stage, came out on the dais, opened his Bible, and just started talking about it, and just opened my mind. I had an amazing conversion experience. I was home. I never did an alt. I was home, and it radically altered me. There are people out there saying that Constantine and the Roman Empire created Jesus Christ. F you. Okay. I am here to tell you that Jesus Christ radically changed my life. I've been for 30 years. I am a completely different person. And so wait real quick, Tim. So the Jesuits didn't enter into this equation until 20 years later, because the Jesuits created the eschatology and the prophecies and the understanding. The Jesuits gave Christians, Protestants, fundamentalists, evangelicals their religion. And that's why I promote.
So it was a different thing from you coming away from the Catholic Church. You did that first, and then years later, decades later,
yes, sir.
Okay.
Right. In my search for knowledge, because the Jesuits have given the Jesuits train the pastors that are in front of the churches. Here's a fact. Here's an absolute fact. 98% of organized Protestant fundamentalist religion teach futurism. Futurism was created by Jesuits to distract from the concept that all popes are antichrist and Rome is the great harlot of Babylon, the drunk on the blood of the saints, the fourth and final beast of Daniel.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
If you, in your worldview, right, if you're in charge of everything, say you're like hegemon of the world, right? What is your goal? What would you eliminate?
Yeah, it is not good question, pal. Love it. Good question. It would not be to round up all the Jews. It would be to put
I hope not.
It would be to put
Danny, it wouldn't be a good podcast.
Right. We lose Danny's podcast. We can't do that. We lose Danny's podcast and lose his comedy.
I guess Mark can host it if I get rounded up.
No.
And you know what? If apparently, from what I hear from some of my callers, is that Auschwitz had a pool or whatever. Maybe,
absolutely, yeah.
And bands and stuff.
In and out and play.
Well, maybe they have a podcast studio there.
Jim Rizzoli is one of the guys that I've debated before, and he's one of those guys that says crazy things like that. He's also one of the guys that says round them up. But my solution is this: it's been tried twice in history, and it's worked both times. Is to park M1s and T90s in St. Peter's Square and to go into the archives and go into all the underground tunnels and pull them out, find out what's really going on.
Can I pause you for a second? I don't know what M1 and what does that mean?
Yeah. M1 Abrams is the tank of NATO. It is named after Roman Catholic General Creighton.
You want to fucking go to war, huh?
We are at war, pal. We are at war. You just don't realize it. We are at war. You just don't realize it.
You off. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay. I just didn't know what those.
That's okay. Right. A T90 is the most advanced Russian tank at the time. Okay. It's a cooperative. I would want a military takeover in Rome. That's what I would want, and it's happened twice before in history, and it's worked both times. Like I said, Philippe le Bel, Philip IV of France, and Napoleon Bonaparte. I believe he was under Jesuit control. He arrested the Pope and put him in prison. The bottom line is it worked. I tell my audience, we want to cut off the head of the Hydra that won't grow back. Okay. You can round up all the Jews. You can even get rid of the Freemasons, and that would put a huge damper in the system, but the Hydra would still be alive. It is the Catholic Church with the Hydra.
So to be clear, your first move would be to move militarily on the Vatican City.
Yeah, like I said, it's
basically
been done,
annex the Vatican.
It's been done in history before by Philippe le Bel, and Napoleon Bonaparte. It's been done before.
What country could do that though? Because it's in the middle of Rome, and it's its own country, isn't it?
It would be a state of war. Okay, so listen.
But wouldn't you have to invade Italy first?
That wouldn't fucking work, bro. That would not work.
Right, so
it might be a little pie in the sky.
We're granting Johnny empirical powers. All right, you're making Johnny the emperor.
Oh,
so
sure.
if you want me to give you the play
You're
by
right
play,
about that. You are right about that. I did grant you empirical powers. So
yes.
Okay,
yeah, that is true.
Yes. At the bare minimum, I would. Okay, so here's seriously, what you could at least start with a thorough investigation of the Catholic Church in the United States, such as the interplay between secular government. For instance, I've got a newspaper clipping on my desktop of how the city of Buffalo, the police chief told the officers, when you are investigating pedophilia, if you find a Roman Catholic priest, let him go. Okay, are you out of your mind?
Yeah,
are you
that's
out of your mind?
I agree with that.
Institutional child rape. in collusion with the secular government of the United States. At the bare minimum, we need a thorough and complete investigation of the Catholic Church. People say all the time, oh, the solution, separation of church and state, separate church and state. The Roman Catholic Church has owned the United States government. You asked me about, Danny asked me about the Civil War. What was one of the impetus, the creation of what guaranteed the Civil War? Dred Scott, right?
Okay.
The idea of whether or not blacks were slaves or were they actual human beings.
Okay.
Who was responsible for Dred Scott?
Well, the impetus of the Civil War is probably bleeding Kansas. You know,
Dred Scott was critical. Dred Scott was critical. And so let me finish my point. Who was responsible for Dred Scott? The Roman, and I'm going to cut you off either, pal. The Roman Catholic Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Roger Taney, was responsible for the Dred Scott decision. So this is just one of my examples of. Go ahead.
Interesting. I didn't know any of this. Tim, I got to. Sorry, Tim, just wrap it up just because I got a couple more callers I got to get to.
All right. I'll just say, Danny, love what you're doing. Thank
Appreciate
you for
it.
having me on the show again.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim.
Let me go.
All right. Let's take two more quick calls, and then we're gonna let you go. We got Hank, and then Patrick. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. We're gonna do a little extra time afterwards, but we got Hank.
Danny boy,
what is happening, Hank?
Oh, living the dream. Living the dream. How about yourself, brother?
Very nice. I'm good. I got a nice tan. I can't complain.
There you go, looking Spartic.
Thank you.
He's not in a concentration camp.
That's always good.
Mr. Johnny, how are you, sir?
Good, Hank. Talk to me, brother. What do you got?
So, a couple questions for you. Do you know what the only recognized country is by the UN that holds no territory?
You're probably going to tell me Israel.
No, it is. You mentioned it a couple times. The sovereign, let's see the full name of it, Sovereign Military Hospitality Order of St. John of
Jerusalem.
Good for
you.
Of Rhodes and of Malta.
You are correct, sir. You are correct, sir. It's an order. It is an order, and they have full diplomatic immunity. Knights of Malta. You're absolutely correct, sir. Good for you.
So, what institutions do you know? What institutions they started?
The Knights of Malta. What did they start? Well,
Who are the Knights of Malta?
They are the Knights Hospitality. They took over from the Templars. They are a Roman Catholic military order.
And they invented hospitals, essentially.
Absolutely, sir. Yeah.
Interesting.
Where do they fit in all this?
Yeah. Well, for example, Bill Donovan. Bill Donovan was a Knight of Malta. Okay. To this day, they are powerful players in the background. It's like any kind of military order. If the Catholic Church wants to fill you with pride, they will put you into one of these secret orders. And the Knights of Malta. Oh, look at Buttigieg, right? Homosexual, far left, was it Pete Buttigieg, right?
Yeah.
His father is deep. His father comes from Malta. His father is deep in Malta. Okay. This is how they're still power players to this day.
Oh yeah. They resisted the Ottomans for like years.
Oh, how about this? Okay. Resisting the Ottomans. How about the battle? Let's see here. Oh my goodness. I'm brain farting. It's the
Battle of Varna or Battle of Vienna, maybe.
No, on October 7th, it is the Lepanto, Battle of Lepanto of the Holy League against the Ottomans. And this is 1571, the Battle of Lepanto. October 7th, which just so happens to be the day that secular separation of church and state, United States, launched its global war on terror. What a coincidence, October 7th. It also happens to be the day that Hamas launched its rape fest in Israel. Now, why would a bunch of rabid jihadis launch their rape fest in Israel? By the way.
Hey, I don't want to blow your mind right now, but that's also my father and my brother's birthday, and they're both Jewish.
That's also Vladimir Putin's birthday. How about that? Let's add Vladimir Putin to that list. Okay.
Weird.
So the Israeli military that had would had sensors that could tell if a cat could cross over these lines. Suddenly, everybody were clueless. They looked the other way. They were absolutely in on it. And so who does an organization? Oh, by the way, this is also October 7th is the Feast of Our Lady of Victory, one of the many Roman Catholic feasts honoring the Queen of Heaven, who is nothing to do with the birth mother of Jesus. That's Miriam.
Mm-hmm. So also another question I want to ask you.
Yeah, just one more.
Go ahead.
How do you feel about like the Orthodox Church?
Yes.
Like,
So we talked about, good question. Good question. So we talked about Daniel's dream, and pardon me, Nebuchadnezzar's dream in Daniel chapter 2, where the human statue has 4 different metals, and you've got the head and shoulders of gold, which is Babylon, the shoulders of silver, which is Medo-Persia, and the loins of bronze, and then the legs, 2 legs of iron. And at the commencement of Orthodoxy, they were equals to the Catholic Church, but they have since been subverted.
There was 5 equals. The Pentarchy, right?
When the Catholic Church split, it's basically was Constantinople, and the Orthodoxy was the split off. So,
but originally you had the 5 Pentarchs. You had one in Constantinople, Rome. You had Alexandria, I believe Jerusalem, and Antioch. Right.
But as far as religious tradition, the 2 main religious traditions are Rome and Constantinople, the Byzantine Church. Okay, and they really are just very, very similar. So is Anglicanism. Anglicanism is not Protestantism, but the Orthodoxy is very, very similar. And unfortunately, from a Christian perspective, the same challenges in Orthodoxy to finding a saving relationship with Jesus Christ are there as they are in Catholicism, of worship of icons and Mary and saints and angels and having a hierarchy. They're actually very, very similar. And that's a tragedy, unfortunately.
All right, Patrick, or sorry, not Patrick. Hank, I got to let you go because I got to take Patrick's call. Appreciate you calling in. Thanks, Hank. All right, last call of the night. We got Patrick. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining me. We're going to do a little more time after we let Johnny go here because we hit the goal. All right, Patrick, thank you for waiting, my man.
Hello.
What is happening?
Top of the morning to you, Patrick. You wouldn't happen to be Irish Catholic, would you?
Top of the morning to you. Okay, I got a few questions. I'll try to go quick. So if you could summarize your position in a couple sentences, what would your perspective on this
Good
be?
question. Wow, good one. Good poser. I would say that truth seekers, please don't get fixated on Jews in the news. Think about this for a minute. It's intuitive. There's a hand behind them, hiding behind them, and it is an ancient hand, and it comes from Rome. They are the master manipulators. They weren't taken over by Jews from the beginning. It's the same dichotomy of power at the crucifixion of Jesus. Jewish leaders went with their yarmulkes in hand to the Roman authority, and they begged the Roman authority, because they didn't have the authority themselves, to kill this upstart rabbi. And it is Rome that killed Jesus. Okay, so my ultimate point is just to encourage people, look, it's intuitive. Look to Google that changed its birthday, September 27th, the birthday of the Jesuits. Look deeper. And I'm telling you, if you look at me, come to my house, come to my house, my video hubs, names, places, and dates. 5 books, they average 800 pages, 1,000 citations. This is what's really going on in the background. Don't let people froth up your emotions. When they froth up your emotions, love the Jews, hate the Jews. Evangelical Christians love the Jews. People out there that Jews are love the Jews, hate the Jews. This is emotion. Don't get sucked in by that. Names, places, dates, and what owns that is the Catholic Church. That'd be my tagline.
All right. Second question: are you familiar with the band Ghost?
I am not, Patrick.
Okay, never mind then.
Well, wait, why? Why was that? Why was that?
Yeah,
important to you,
what's
pal?
the
It's not a big deal, but they're a like anti-Christian metal band.
What is
the lead singer? It's like a theatrical thing of like the anti-pope. He dresses up like the pope, but like
Oh, Patrick, I wish you would have told me that.
Pope.
Listen to me. That is a very big agenda. Believe it or not, Patrick, within Catholicism, the Catholic Church secretly wants you to have only two choices: the Antichrist of the Pope or no Christ. And it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, look at a guy like Voltaire, who was that was his pen name. Was it Jean-Marie Arouet, I believe was his real name. Basically a Jesuit. I don't know that he was ever ordained, but he was thoroughly immersed in Jesuitism. This is a huge agenda of the Catholic Church. They only want you to have two choices: Antichrist of the Pope or no Christ. And this is why all power leans hard left. Patrick, all power, all entertainment, all video games, all movies are crap today. Politics, all hard left. It's not left or right. It's either hard left or phony right. That's always the dichotomy. So it's a great point. Look at a guy. Look at a band like Tool that I play in my bumper music. Complete Luciferian, and their song "Sober" is all about, they want you to be sober from Jesus or sober from the Catholic Church. Oh, it's the same thing. Wait a minute. No, it's not. Voltaire took the crimes of the Catholic Church and put them on Christianity. They are mutually exclusive. They are not the same. You ask the average person, what's the Inquisition? What are the Crusades? Those are Christians going and killing Muslims and Jews. No, they weren't. Those were Catholics. Did you know the Catholic Church went on crusades into Europe to kill Christians? Very, very important. And that Ghost, the band Ghost, and all of that great conversation comes out of this. It's a very important agenda.
Interesting stuff. Anything else there, Patrick?
Yeah,
go
real
ahead.
quick. So, interesting fact. So, the lead singer of Ghost is a Freemason. I'll leave you with that. I think it would be interesting if you looked into the band.
Okay, pal, we'll do.
That's pretty much
We'll
it.
We'll do. And listen, this is a huge Freemasonic agenda. And as I said before, secretly, the Freemasons, I could go through the list of the number of Catholic Freemasons just as proof to throw the BS flag on how Freemasonry is at war with the Catholic Church. Excuse me, a very big Freemasonic agenda. So,
yeah,
good point.
All right. Thanks, Patrick. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Patrick, everybody. All right. That has been the show with Johnny. Thank you very much, Johnny, for coming on. That was very interesting stuff. Where can people find you?
Johnny Cirucci, JohnnyCirucci.com. You can write me, Johnny at JohnnyCirucci.com. My 5 books, Illuminati and Mass, Secret History, Eaters of Children, Romans of Mass Destruction, and Disciples of Ra are still available on CI Amazon, aka Leviathan, aka Amazon. I have, I maintain, I've been kicked off YouTube long ago. So I've got a Rumble, I've got an Odyssey, I've got a BitChute.
You get kicked off for talking shit about the Catholics?
Believe it or not. Weird. I just got a strike on a stupid video game vid that I uploaded, 30 seconds of video game, and I got a strike for that. Are you kidding me? I've been told by YouTube, don't even make comments on other people's vids. Okay. So
Weird.
Crazy. Anyway, that's Johnny at Johnny Cirucci is my email, and that's how you can find me. JohnnyCirucci.com, JohnnyCirucci.com. Resistance Rising is the show, and you can find me either Johnny Cirucci or Resistance Rising on Rumble and Odyssey and BitChute. So
fantastic. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it so much, and hope to
love
talk
you,
to you soon.
Appreciate you.
Take
man.
care. Bye. That was Johnny Cirucci, everybody. We're going to do a little extra time because we hit the thingy. And I'm going to we're going to do a giveaway. I got and phone lines are open again because we're going extra time. Let's do the giveaway. And if anybody wants to call in, you have any comments, queries, questions, anything really, we can do that. I should have Got this queued up earlier, but I didn't. So now I'm going to do it there. Oh, okay. What do we got? Oh, here we go. We got our lovely spinning wheel. Let's give away. Do I have everybody in the list of super chatters? By the way, thank you for all your super chats. I'm going to read them all, actually, before I do. And don't go anywhere because we got a little more time. We're going overtime. Super chats. We got Fran Wild. Patrick. Thanks, Danny. Thank you, Patrick. Logan Sorter. Vibes. Iron Man Bill. Jews wear the small hats in reverence to the Catholic cardinals. Jesus bless. Love from Philly. Fran says, shut up. Brookings Brown. The Jews, Jesuits control the Catholics since the original fraud Pope John Paul in 1200s. The Jews, Jesuits. Like the Jews are the Jesuits? I don't know. Fran says, let's go. Logan says, the guest definitely washes legs. Checks for bugs. Terminal Crazy says, hi from Tasmania. Here is 5% of our GDP. Please do not annex. Nobody wants Tasmania. Fran says, huh? Dylan Farnham says, ask the guest about the Black Pope and the Catholics starting international banking. I think we covered that. Also Jews. Vincent says, boom, boom, bye. Fran says, murky waters. Shout out to Crossing Streams. Dylan Farnham, can you make merch that says the audience you cultivated and it's all us neo-Nazi subscribers to your Jewish show? That could be funny. I wanted to make urban moving system shirts. If you know, you know. Anton says Jew. Big Chimpin says, thanks, Jew. Reagan Foster says, prove I'm not a clone. How could you prove that? Patrick Riley says, welcome back, Scroat King. And I think that's all of them. Do I have Big Chimpin on the wheel of spinning? Yes. All right. Let's spin the wheel, everybody. 6-month Patreon membership. And one of you might win $500. So, and sign up for the Patreon if you haven't, patreon.com/low-value-mail. Let's see who wins and the winner. And if you're already a Patreon subscriber, hit me up and I can just extend your thing. Terminal Oh, no! Patrick Riley edges it out at the last second. I thought it was going to be Terminal Crazy. Patrick Riley, congrats. Send me a message and I will hook you up with a patreon.com low value mail 6-month subscription. What a gift. And of course, I'm doing audio only Patreon episode every Thursday or Saturday. It's an extra episode a week though. So you get that as well. And you get ad-free audio. You get all sorts of stuff. And I'm pretty active in the chat there too. All right. Let's take a few calls. You're probably all drunk. Oh, we're going to go first off to Canada. Haven't talked to this young lad in a minute. Tony Scarboni, what's up, buddy?
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Pretty well. Down in the moment. The whole tariff thing is.
Is it fucking up your livelihood?
Not yet. I'm fortunate that I don't think it affects me as much as it could. The film industry is kind of ass anyway, and although apparently it might affect the construction industry because
it'll definitely affect the construction industry.
You can't get our supplies or whatever.
Well, if they're more expensive now.
Yeah, and apparently the interest rates are going to go down again. What the fuck? Anyway.
Well, yeah, they need to stimulate the economy to offset all the bad shit from.
I think we're the only country in the G7 that's doing that.
Well, they're the only country in the G7 that's getting heavily tariffed and heavily relies on the United States. So.
The U.S. relies on Canada too. It's not.
No, it doesn't.
It's just what you've always.
I mean, it
said.
It does to some small degree. It does to some small degree, but like, if one had to go, like if Canada went away, the U.S. would be fine. If the U.S. went away, Canada would be fucked, at least in the short term.
Yeah.
You don't just reorganize. You don't just like if if America, they're obviously trying to reorganize their whole system, but you don't just do it if you're Canada overnight. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to mention it was great seeing you with Ryan Long.
Why do you say hi?
Theater in Vancouver. because I couldn't find you guys after.
Oh man.
You guys disappeared, and I stayed and watched this awful fucking Fraser Head or Crazy Head or this awful fucking movie from.
The movie,
70s.
They said they're like, you guys got to get going because there's a movie starting.
Which is like fucking only the real theater would do that shit. What a wacky place, man.
Yeah, it was fun shows though.
In there. Yeah, no, I was if anyone was there on the Friday night, I was the one in the corner yelling, "Fuck the French."
Oh, nice. Eraserhead, is that what you're talking about? Eraserhead?
That's the one, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Eraserhead.
David Lynch.
Oh fuck, it was
like
terrible.
That's too bad.
It was actually the worst movie I probably ever saw.
Really? I've never seen it.
Oh,
I hear it's a bit of a cult classic though. What's up, Tony?
Ugh. Well, no, I'm going through a bit of a housing crisis right now. Everyone knows me as like, the guy who struggles with relationships, but like that was never really. It was just like a first call and a first shindig.
First impressions, man. First impressions.
Yeah, for sure. For the most part, I do all right with the ladies. But the one thing that I'm really just gripping with right now, I'm like about to lose the place that I've lived in for like since I was a kid, basically. And I'm just like I know there's a whole world out there and fucking move on and move out or whatever. But yeah, I'm kind of going through that right now. And it's just like making me think of like the concept of home and like
what do you mean you're about to lose? Like your childhood home is?
Yeah, they're demolition. We're going through a demoviction. And like the city just steamrolled it through, and like we fought it, and they tried to do it years ago, but then it got denied.
Do you live there now?
Yeah.
Okay, and so I assume your parents as well. You guys are all kind of.
Yeah, my mother and I. Yeah.
Oh, your mother and. Damn, that stinks. What happened? The landlord is just what they're trying to like essentially just. Renovate the place and they want to kick you out?
Yeah, well, it's actually a non-for-profit housing society, but they run the place like a slum, and they kind of forced the city, and like it's really just like a matter of like consequences, like BC needing more homes and like the NDP just like steamrolling developments through, which is a good thing ultimately, but they're not really taking care of the people that already live there. Where they say they are under a guise, but then you like we're trying to like just like have them honor what they're supposed to do, and they're supposed to give us a bit of money and like a bit of free rent and help us find a new place, but they're not doing any of that.
Oh, that sucks. So, and are you kind of trying to tell them? You're like, hey, we're about to just be on the street.
Yeah.
And what is their response to that?
They don't give a shit.
Really?
They're slumlords. They're slumlords, dude. They don't give.
But it's the government, I thought. Or you're saying this is a privately owned.
They get their money from the government, the Ministry of Housing or BC Housing or whatever. But they're actually like private. They're a private non-for-profit entity.
That sucks.
Yeah.
So what are you guys gonna? How long do you have?
Until May or June.
Okay. And what's the problem? You just like can't is just like because like the prices are so high.
Yeah. Well, my mother especially can't afford. I'm gonna have to like move away from her anyway, but which is rough. But like it probably has to happen. Does she require like do you need to be living with your mom? Like, does she require your assistance or if anything, she needs to live with me. She's a functioning. She addled or whatever, but her finances are awful. Like they're terrible.
Okay, so she just needs your assistance. So you're a good guy, man. You're taking care of your mom.
Yeah, but it's not very attractive.
Yeah, Well, at least when people are like you live with your mom, you're like, no, she lives with me. It's different.
100%.
That's different. That is, I know it's like if you're trying to get ass, like girls are probably like don't love that, but. I mean, that is the noble thing to do. I mean, you can't. Rough, what are you going to do? You can't let your mom be on the fucking streets.
I've had people who told me that like you need to break away from her and like she needs to deal with it on her own. She's an adult.
Why is she so bad with her finances?
But like I guess she's like had jobs that just like she's been at for a long time. But the problem with my mother, she has like no backbone. She doesn't stand up for herself, and she kind of like, even with our landlords, like she kind of gets bullied and like lets people like step all over her, and
Yeah.
either at work or whatever situation. And then she doesn't fight. She kind of cowers. And that's like part of what boned us. Like I would have fought this like a while ago had I known, but the situation has gotten to be pretty bad, and I'm trying to fight it, but it's not.
No, it's just a little too late.
It's not working out. It's not working out. It feels like it's inevitable, and it's rough, man. I know you've just moved recently, but you move all the time, and like you probably have family who like, you know, had a house or whatever, and like people can always like, go back to that, but for me, I never moved. If I moved away, I always came back because I knew that if I moved away long term, I could never come back home. And now
Why? Just because your mom would lose the house?
Pretty much, yeah.
You need to have her call into Dave Ramsey.
What's that?
Like, does she make enough money to like live, or like she just wastes? Like, what do you mean she's bad with money?
Well, she works part-time, and like she's in her 60s, I think, and she hasn't really she has a bit of a pension, but like it's dinky, whatever.
Right.
And she's like a functioning alcoholic. She'll drink and smoke, but like, and I guess you know how that can be costly. She
Right.
gets by, but like, you know, it's costly, and maybe she doesn't, again, like work. She does work or whatever. Like she's not a retard or whatever, but and I will say, like when she was wealthy, she was very generous. She would always give to her family. Yeah. But she hasn't really been wealthy in like the last 8 years or so.
What happened that made her go from wealthy to not wealthy?
I guess we were always working class. We were a working class family. So like all this shit that's happened in the last 10 years, like we're just like an impact. We're just a family that kind of fell through the cracks and went on the lower side of it, right? Like it's worked all this time until it hasn't.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So fuck, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but like that's kind of been like on my mind or the forefront. That's the update. Like this whole time when I'm calling you, that was really the biggest problem. Like everything else was like whatever.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope something gets figured out. Because, I know Vancouver area is not cheap to live in.
It's not. But then, like, people would say, oh, just move to Calgary or move to Alberta. Alberta fucking sucks, dude. I've already been there. Like, Calgary's okay.
Why don't you move to Kelowna?
Like, everyone...
I guess it's not cheaper.
Kelowna's not much better.
No. I like Kelowna. Kelowna's really nice in the summer.
Yeah, no, the whole Okanagan area is fucking gorgeous.
Yeah. Or somewhere else in the Okanagan that's just not Kelowna.
But like the Soyuz or like South Penticton or
something like
Princeton,
that.
Whatever. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Dude. So that's what we're going through. That's what it is, and that's the update.
Sorry to hear that.
I don't know. Pray for me if you believe in prayers or whatever, and hopefully we'll have a better update in the future.
All right. Good talking to you, man.
All right.
Tony Scarboni, everybody, with some bummer news. All right, we're going to take 2 quick calls, and we're going to wrap this bad boy up. I got to piss so bad. I'm putting both of these callers on a fucking clock. Slav,
hello?
What's up? You have exactly 5 minutes.
Hey, I love Canada talk. I like the Canada talk, man.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know some of your listeners ain't all about it, but I actually like it. No, we got to keep an eye on our neighbors.
Sure.
So. And look, I ain't saying all Canada got to become the 51st state, but if there is such a thing, and they have to update the U.S. flag, all of the provinces or the portions of Canada who want to join our great union, the updated flag will be 50 stars and 1 maple leaf.
Well, what if each province won't get their own maple leaf?
Well, no, I mean, look, obviously Alberta. I mean, look, what would I like? Like I said before, I want to link Montana to Alaska.
Sure.
So that Alberta, Yukon Territory ain't Northern Territory, right?
I mean, if you guys get Alberta, you're getting, like, if America gets Alberta, Saskatchewan's coming with it. I think that's pretty likely.
And they're y'all's grain belt, but it's not even got to be by state provincial lines. It's just by people who want, like, we're going back to frontier pioneer days. It's like, hey, this geographical region, they want to, you know.
I wondered, you're a pretty astute historical person. I think you read a lot. Has any country ever been basically annexed due to just being financially crippled forcibly? Like, has there ever been like an annexation based on like essentially just tightening the screws financially, economically?
I mean, speaking as a Russian, and everyone likes to use that word annexation, I mean, Crimea was repatriated.
Yeah, but that was by force. What I'm saying is, like, because Trump's
that was by the fine print laid out.
But also, you obviously know this, and so do I. But most people in Crimea are Russian.
Well, I mean, there's no such thing as a Ukrainian. They're either Russian, Polish, or Romanian, or
I don't know. I know people who are like, actually they go, I'm Ukrainian, and when they speak Ukrainian, like my mom, my mom is literally like, my mom speaks Russian and she speaks with a Ukrainian, and she's like, I don't know what they're saying.
Ukrainian is like Portuguese to people who speak Spanish.
Yeah.
I know. It's like a
no, because those are very different. It's because when I hear Ukrainian, I'm like, that sounds familiar to me. It sounds like Russian, but then because I can tell the difference between Portuguese and Spanish, but like my mom speaking to a Ukrainian person is just like, I don't know what she's saying.
I mean, Serbian and Polish sounds more pleasing to my ears as a Russian speaker than Ukrainian.
I oddly like Portuguese. Sometimes I feel like it sounds like dog shit, but I kind of like the Portuguese language.
Yeah, I mean, I too like hookers, so and strippers. Wow.
Oh, looks like Slav likes the Brazilians, huh?
Look. Okay, yeah.
Well, so we found one group of people you don't want to deport, huh?
I'm 50-50 on that, bro.
Yeah. Do you see that? Do you see that guy, the pro-Palestine protester dude, got snatched up by ICE today? They got big protests all over New York City.
Oh yeah, no. My whole thing on that is like,
because he's on a green card.
They fucking hand him out like fucking Mardi Gras beads. Fuck them all.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. He's stupid because everybody's like, you know, they're like, why doesn't he have First Amendment protection? Because he's essentially just protesting. You don't have the same rights on a green card as an American.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with the illegal aliens. It's like, no, you trespass, you give up all your rights. Fuck off.
Yeah, well, he's not. He's fully legal, except for that there's just there's conditions. Slav, all right, you have 27 seconds.
All right, I don't even like birthright citizenship because it backs up.
Slav, you want you want something that'll piss you off? Listen to this. So when I was in Anguilla, we had a guy who because there's no Anguilla's only 15,000 people, the whole island, and we had this guy.
Tan, Danny.
Thanks, buddy. I feel like I like having a tan, but
you need more sun.
I know. Well, it's fucking winter time, dude. But I have a tan during the summer. But anyways, listen to this. So we had a taxi driver in Anguilla who basically he would just drive us around whenever, because there's no real taxis there, but he was like a taxi. But we had the same driver all week, and he told us that he has 2 kids, and he was telling us about his kids, and he's like, yeah, my one kid lives in Atlanta, my other kid lives in Florida, Orlando. And they're like, oh, how they just go to school there? And he's like, no, they're American citizens. And I'm like, but he's like an Anguillan dude, like Caribbean thick accent. And I was like, oh, how does that work? And he's like, I had a rule where every time I knocked someone up, I don't know if they're the same mom or not, but he's like, every time I would got someone pregnant, he's like, I had this one rule where I sent them to the United States for 7 months to go live with a relative.
Yeah, it's called abusing the system.
So literally, he's like, and he's like, I paid for it and everything, and I had a relative in Miami, and my girlfriend would go to Miami for 7 months, have the kid there, and then come back.
Yeah, that's disgusting abuse of the system.
I mean, literally, he was telling me that, and I was just like, man, Slav would not like this. But
Dude,
obviously,
I mean,
that was never the point of birthright citizenship, was to go.
No. Birthright citizenship was only implemented to appease the Southern slave owners because of the 3/5 compromise.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you support birthright citizenship, you support like the enactments of slavery, and also making you born in America. It ain't magical soil. And how many people born in America can even pass the citizenship test? Like, for real?
Probably not a lot.
Fucking Aaron Burr gets 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
And when he had his
he's a
podcast,
smart Jew. That's why. All right, Slav, I gotta let you go because I gotta wrap this shit up, and we gotta talk to Jared. But later, dude. Slav, everybody. All right. Mark just messaged me. Oh, phone line graphic is still on. Phone lines are closed. Sorry. We're going to take the last call. Someone says the chat wants to Venmo Tony Scarboni. Is that true? There's no Venmo in Canada. I don't know if that's true. Just Mark just said that. But unfortunately, there's no Venmo in Canada. So I don't know if you guys want to support him. I don't know how you could. Interact e-transfer, PayPal. I don't know. Jared, you have 5 minutes.
Alrighty. I just want to talk about all the awesome stuff that Trump is doing for Rome, and being he's
you're just a pawn, Jared. Jared, you're just a pawn, man.
I mean,
I will say that. Awesome, yeah. Go ahead.
No, you can finish.
Oh, I was just gonna say that guy. It's funny because that guy talks exactly about Catholics. How people talk about Jews. Like, it's just funny to hear. Like, literally, that guy's just like, it's like the same thing, like identical. He's just like, but it's just about the Catholics.
Right. And he does have a very tough time with conversos, like understanding that they have an original allegiance to their religion. They were forced to become this new religion. So I'm not going to hook on that any further, but the fact that he wasn't familiar with Zabbatai Zevi being a practicer of Islam in secret, I don't even want to get it. But the main thing was Trump and all the awesome things that Trump was doing. But first, I just wanted to briefly speak of Trump's enthusiasm for Kabbalah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure many people are familiar, but
I've not heard this before.
In his 2004 book, The Way to the Top, on page 188, he speaks of his Kabbalah teacher and how he was getting exhausted and that he needed to take a break. And his Kabbalah teachers essentially told him that whenever you need a break, just keep working. He was getting exhausted because I'm not sure if you're familiar. Kabbalah is they're doing magic. They're trying to summon
Jewish mysticism. They wear that 100%. That red string.
Correct. And he wrote this in 2004. This book was published. And just in case anyone's wondering who his Kabbalah teacher was, it was the same Kabbalah teacher that Madonna had. So just some.
Yeah, it's all big Hollywood like fucking woo-woo bullshit. It's
yeah.
Oh yeah. But it's also like it became this trendy thing in Hollywood for people to like do Kabbalah or whatever. So then like they would wear the red string.
Well, they understood that they can, make pacts with demons, and demons will give them certain things if they perform.
I mean, sure, but it's not real.
Well, these people do believe that it's real. So
look, I've been surrounded by Jews my entire life. I've never met one that thinks Kabbalah.
Are you familiar with the building of Solomon's Temple?
Not specifically, no.
So there is an idea, if I'm not mistaken, it's found in the Zohar, and there's
you only have 2 minutes.
Essentially a worm that Solomon used, a demon. He used the seal of Solomon, or the sigil of Solomon, which is what today is known as the Star of David. and it's a magic sigil which he used to summon demons, and the demons would build the temple at night when everyone was sleeping.
Okay.
And this is why Freemasons revere Solomon, because he was a practitioner of magic. And the whole point of that being that Freemasonry, Kabbalah, and Jews in the Jesuit order, they're all intertwined along the same faith. So one of the reasons I know this to be true is when I was in my early 20s, I had a client that I worked with, and his father was a Freemason, and I was interested in learning as much as I could. I read many books, and I wanted to see what Freemasonry was. So I went to a Freemason information night. The gentleman was going to vouch for me. He had another gentleman who was going to vouch. You need two individuals, or you can get in if you have a father who's a Freemason, but you need two individuals to vouch for you, and you have to believe in a higher power. And I asked to receive the degrees, and I read the contract, okay? Mm-hmm. And the contract said that you agree to conform to all ancient rites and rituals of the brotherhood and agree to be of service to your brother. So when you join Freemasonry, you're not Catholic anymore.
Sure.
You're not a Jew anymore.
You're just a Freemason.
You are a part of a new religion. And what people find out when you get to the higher degrees that they're worshiping Lucifer. And if you were to ask, there's videos on the internet.
Freemasons worship Lucifer? It's so weird, because I did this thing at this Freemason lodge, and I was like, this is like the most boring decor. Just the whole thing was just boring.
Well, one of the things that they had in the Washington D.C. I think lodge is it's a symbol of a Star of David, an Islamic crescent moon, and the Christian cross, all superimposed on one another. So you can be. It's
like the original coexist bumper sticker.
And what they're saying is if you've ever seen the Jimmy Kimmel building where they film in Los Angeles, on the outside, it's filmed in a Freemason building, a former Freemason hall.
Yeah.
And it says, Freemasons build among the nations. So they infiltrate all aspects of society, whether it be Jews, Jesuits, Christians. That's just what they do. And the idea is that Trump's not doing awesome stuff to help Rome. He's not implementing orders to stop the discussion of the Rome problem or the Catholic problem. I mean,
but there is no such thing.
The guy's like and not just that. I mean, he's obviously
I'm sure if people were going out,
Zionist.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, he goes hard on Israel.
And that's my point. Like, I mean, for the guest to say that, Trump is he's a trained and he's a Jesuit. It's silly. It's like calling Isaac Weishaupt. I mean, what's his name? Weishaupt. Who cares if he says he converted?
Yeah, but you know what? There's a lot like Weishaupt is. I don't actually know like if Isaac Weishaupt is Jewish, but like those German names, which it sounds like to me, there's a lot of German names that sound Jewish that aren't.
Sure.
All the
like
time.
Schneider,
exactly. There's tons of German names that are not in fact Jewish, that sound Jewish. Look, I gotta let you go. I gotta wrap this up. I gotta go catch a train home.
Just want to say thank you as always. It's always a pleasure. Good to have you back, and thank you.
Good to be back.
Until next time.
Yeah. Later, Jared.
See you, buddy.
Jared, everybody. All right, that has been the show. Thank you very much to all of you for joining me. Good to be back. New episode of The Bathhouse tomorrow night, 9 p.m. We will continue this Jewish discussion there tomorrow. Getting pretty tired of the Jew stuff, but hey, it's what people want to talk about. At least we got the hang-up option on The Bathhouse. Terminal Crazy, hit me up. You won. Oh, no, not Terminal Crazy. Sorry, I did it again. Patrick Riley, hit me up. Twitter, Instagram, wherever. if you have any of those. And I'll get you your Low Value Mail Patreon subscription. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/lowvaluemail, MAIL. That has been the show. Shout out to our producer, Mark, booking guests, answering phones. Could not do this without him. All right. Good night, everybody. Take care.
I'm really a poet, you know it, all my shit heroic. Empathic abilities, yeah, my face be also stoic. Bleep, blow up, nigga, that just means I'm working. They see me as a leader, so that's why I'm Captain Kirkin. These tracks from the stars, that much is for certain. You can feel this hit if you up or if you hurting. I'm raising my stock, not talking my feet in some Birkin. Number Johnny 5, got a fucking short circuit. Bring the track to life when I spit phenomenally. When I hit, she feel that shit in her abdominals. These rappers make me laugh like comic view, they comical. You know I got a ball out, I hit the track running just like Sonic do. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, and they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, now we pulling up pressure on some flight shit. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. They don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, they was trying to get me on my hype shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch. Yeah, then they tried to down me up some KO type shit. Yeah, they don't wanna turn on my light switch.